Dallas Keuchel made 5 postseason starts in 2017. He has always had success against the New York Yankees. Keuchel and McCann last year in Game 5 of the ALCS, walking in from the bullpen at Yankee Stadium. Keuchel will make his 2018 spring training debut in just a minute. Astros baseball and spring training on AT&T is brought to you by Whataburger as we welcome you to the 15 ballpark of the Palm Beaches. The Astros taking on the Miami Marlins from West Palm Beach, Florida. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Todd Callis alongside Jeff Blum. We'll hear from Julia Morales in just a little while. And Plummer, we saw Keuchel and McCann walking in for a playoff start. Good to see them back again together.
It is good to see them back together. A.J. easing Brian McCann back in there, but it's always nice to see those guys get reacquainted in spring where they worked so well last season together.
We have seen every starter make his spring training debut except for Dallas Keuchel. Today's his first outing.
Yeah, Dallas is a veteran. He knows how to go about his business. Really spent this offseason getting a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, and I'm sure the reason for that is because he wants to throw those 200-plus innings that we came accustomed to seeing from a guy like Dallas Keuchel. And it's not so much about the velocity for Dallas Keuchel. It's more of what we're going to look for in today's game. It's the command. We want to see the ball around the lower part of the zone, on the edges. That's where he has been very good. Not so much worried about the velo. And if he's down in the zone, it's a good way for him to combat the new swing method, which is basically an uppercut.
So Keuchel makes his spring training debut against the Miami Marlins lineup that is very young. A lot of spots open in the Marlins opening day roster. When we come back, we will hear from Julia Morales on more with Dallas.
When did the word value lose its meaning? When did people start to not only
Sportsnet is brought to you by TXU Energy. Try TXU Energy Season Pass. Call 1-866-CALL-TXU.
Happy Monday from West Palm Beach, and it is a good Monday because Dallas Keuchel goes for the Houston Astros today as they host the Miami Marlins in this spring training matchup. With him making his first start a little bit later than others, he is scheduled to make 5 before the 2018 season opens. All of that part of the planning for Dallas. As he came in last year, there was a lot of planning on how he would prepare his body for 2017. Felt good for the most part, so they are building off of that. Also in his age 30 season, it was a long year last year, so feeling good coming in. He's also in a very good place, and we've watched things shape out that way for Dallas the last few years. He made his debut, of course, in 2012, made 22 starts with a .515 RA, and then came in competing for a job in the spring of 2014. But you know the story. It all happened very quick as he became a Cy Young Award winner and then, of course, helped lead the Astros to their first championship in their history. TK?
All right, Julia, you're right. It is a good Monday when you get to see Dallas Keuchel on the mound, and the opening day battery is Dallas Keuchel and Brian McCann. And what a resume Dallas has built up already as an Astro.
Yeah, he's done very good. And he's also predicated himself on being a guy that is durable and able to last 200 innings a year. That was one of the things he had been working for. And I think that's what led to his decision this offseason to really get after it as far as the gym is concerned. He's toned down as far as body weight, but the muscle has gone up a little bit for him. I think he wants to create that durability through the gym. He's got a great program. And again, for Dallas, he's the one guy in this rotation that doesn't need to rely on so much velocity. He will touch 90, 91 at times. But for him to be effective, he has got to use that sinker ball down in the zone, both sides of the plate. That slider that he has, he varies the speeds and breaks on it. Gets good down and in to those right-handed hitters, creates swings and misses, but he makes a living off of creating soft contact with the movement and deception with the change in speeds.
If Dallas is going well today, lots of balls on the ground. We'll see how he fares in his debut in 2018. AJ expecting 3 innings out of Dallas Keuchel, and here's the lineup he will see. A lot of youngsters in the Marlins lineup. Starting with Magneuris Sierra in left field, JT Realmuto behind the plate, Lewis Brinson in center, Derek Dietrich the DH, Garrett Cooper is the first baseman. There's a familiar name, Cameron Maybin. He's the Marlins right fielder today. Eric Campbell will play third, Peter Mooney at second, and Yadiel Rivera is the Marlins shortstop. Lots of young faces and lots of spots to win jobs for Don Mattingly's Miami Marlins as Magneuris Sierra steps in, and Dallas Keuchel's first pitch of the spring is bunted on and bunted foul. Sierra trying to drag bunt his way onto first base, facing Dallas Keuchel for the first time.
Pretty unique roster for the Miami Marlins. I'm not sure if they caught wind of the fact that that is gold glistening from Dallas Keuchel's glove. He can field his position pretty good even if you try and bunt on him.
Dallas has won the Gold Glove 3 of the last 4 years, missed out last year. Had won it 3 consecutive years leading into the 2017 season. Sierra fouls it back, it's 0-2. I think one of the reasons he may not have won the Gold Glove last year is because his name didn't really appear on the ballot. Kind of a change in the past with the Gold Glove voting. If you don't qualify for innings, Keuchel's name wasn't even on there as a possibility.
Is that the Rafael Palmeiro rule?
Yeah, it's unfortunate because he threw 140 innings and fielded his position, just really didn't have much of a chance to win the Gold Glove last year. Because Dallas, in our book, fielded as well last year as he did in his Gold Glove years.
Yeah, I didn't see much of a difference when he was out there. He was still making plays and helping himself out. Now he's shifting the defense for everybody.
Jack Mayfield getting a start at shortstop, and Dallas like, no, Jack, need you to hold a little more with Realmuto at the plate. There's a called strike. JT Realmuto, one of the holdovers, one of the few holdovers from the Miami Marlins. He's the catcher, although he's been rumored as a potential trade in some deals, but Realmuto on a breaking ball will take first on a pitch that came in and hit him on the leg.
Here's Dallas Keuchel's 2017 pitch usage. It's presented to you by AT&T. That fastball, 57.5% of the time. Batting average against it, pretty low. Cut fastball got hit around a little bit as far as his pitches are concerned, but that slurve and that changeup are 2 very good secondary pitches. If he's working that sinker on both sides of the plate, makes that slurve and that changeup that much better.
Facing Lewis Brinson, taking a called strike. Brinson playing center field today. Brinson, one of the pieces acquired in the Milwaukee Brewers trade, sending Christian Yelich to the Brewers. Dallas led all of Major League Baseball in ground ball rate and ground ball to fly ball ratio. Ahead of Brinson 0-2.
So far early on, good location other than that hit by pitch on Realmuto. But down in the zone to get the punch out of Sierra. Lewis Brinson chasing that fastball down out of the zone.
Dallas came out of the gate strong last year, won AL Pitcher of the Month in the month of April. ended up spending a couple of different stints on the DL, one in May and one in June through late July. With a little pinched nerve in his neck and neck discomfort. That's why he ended up below the threshold for innings pitched. Breaking ball misses inside is 2-2. Just the second start of the spring for Brian McCann. He caught Garrett Cole's first outing, and now he's catching Dallas Keuchel's spring training opener. McCann has to block that one as it bounces in front of the plate, and the count's full. But Brian the other day had a chance to talk to him during the game, said, you have to remember where to put your feet, where to position yourself. He's been doing this as long as anybody in baseball behind the dish.
He must really be checking out in the offseason. I mean, they say unplug, but wow. Come in and ask your manager, what position do I play again?
Where do I stand? 3-2 pitch. Catches the outside corner, says C.B. Buckner. Lewis Brinson wanted that ball outside. He thought it was ball 4. Keuchel gets the called strike for strikeout number 2.
Got that 1999 strike zone going. Ooh, use it.
That is a veteran pitching to a youngster. We got that call.
Yeah, if you're a Miami Marlin, you might want to get used to that, huh?
Here's Derek Dietrich. He's one of the Marlins, like Real Muto, who's been around a little bit. Dietrich will be their left fielder this year. Today, DHing. Fouls one out of play. Fan in a Marlins jersey could not make the play, and he's hearing it from the Astros crowd. 0-1 the count.
Jeter will come down and get him removed from the stadium.
Derek Jeter running the show now in South Florida.
You think he's saying be patient?
He has no alternative at this point.
Yeah.
You can't trade Christian Yelich, Marcell Ozuna, and Giancarlo Stanton and not ask your fan base to be patient.
Yeah, those guys are, and I know Giancarlo is a beast, but those guys are beasts on the field. Yeah, you remove them, you're going to remove some fan base, hopefully temporarily, while they get things going in the direction that they want.
I think the thing that the Marlins were looking at is they felt like they were pretty close and just kept making small additions here and there, maybe signing a Wei-Yin Chen one off season, but they never quite got over the hump. So they just decided at this point they're going to kind of reboot. And we've seen it work with the Cubs and the Astros in recent years. And the Marlins are kind of starting over, and they're not the only ones. We're seeing a few teams,
yeah.
The Pirates, the Rays. There are a few teams that are basically restarting and going with a lot of young prospects.
Yeah, I think everybody around baseball appreciates you saying the word rebooting as opposed to some other words that get thrown around, especially between the Major League Baseball and the NBA. But they are definitely retooling their minor league system and trying to develop these guys for the big leagues.
Ball smoked in the right field. Tyler White made a dive for it, but that was by him in a hurry. Base hit by Derek Dietrich, putting runners on first and third. Keuchel will work with first and third and 2 outs. It was a rare hit for a lefty against Dallas. He was the best in the game last year facing lefties.
Well, it's nice because he has that changeup to combat right-handed hitters, and then he has the slider that he really pulls back on velocity, or he puts more velocity on it, creates a little bit sharper break, which makes him effective to both righties and lefties. But it's good to have that good secondary pitch that you can throw going down and away to a left-handed hitter.
Cooper over at first base today. Justin Bour expected to be the opening day first baseman for the Marlins. Pitch up and away, it's 2-0.
Cooper's a big kid, 6'6". Been dealt a couple of times too, going from the Yankees to the Brewers, now with Miami.
They're thinking of calling themselves Milwaukee South, as many Brewers prospects they have on this team. We've already seen Brinson. We'll see Monte Harrison later on. Dallas last year made 23 starts, so he was about 10 shy of the total he's comfortable with in the start department. 3-0 pitch is a strike. It's 3-1. CB Bucknor has given Dallas a couple of close ones. Lewis Brinson would like to say that his wasn't that close.
Vicinity rule.
That's away, and Dallas will face his former teammate with the bases loaded. They were on the same World Championship team last year, and now Cameron Maybin will face Dallas Keuchel. Cameron came over the final day of August. Same day the Astros made that deadline deal for Justin Verlander. Maybin's trade was made earlier in the day, actually while the Astros were still playing the Rangers in St. Petersburg, Florida, Tropicana Field. Maybin takes a pitch outside. It's 1-0. The first week Cameron was with the team, he hit some big home runs.
He had a huge impact early on up there in Seattle.
Then made the postseason roster. Didn't get a ton of playing time, but he ended up in some key spots, including big stolen base and extra innings in World Series Game 2. They've been wanting some people some tacos and helped the Astros win the game.
Yeah, what was more important, the tacos or the game-winning hit by George Springer?
That head-first slide would put him on second base. Springer was trying to move him along to third, ended up hitting it out to right center to win Game 2 for the Astros in a game they were down 2-1 going into the 9th inning. 2-1 on Maybin. JT Realmuto, he was hit by a pitch. Derek Dietrich singled cleanly to right. And Garrett Cooper walked. Dallas has only thrown 13 of 24 strikes this first inning, so not his normal command. Cam fouls it back.
That ratio is not great, especially for Dallas, but it's still, for me, if you're watching at home along with us, you're noticing that it's not a complete yard sale. He's not throwing pitches all over the place or missing wildly to one side or the other. This is what he has to do. He's probably just trying to dial in that release point to be able to get on the edges. But a lot of these pitches he's missing with are just off the edges. Or catch most of the plate.
Wow. I guess CB said that was up because that had a lot of plate. Now the count's full. Well, nothing like Dallas in his first outing having to make a full count, 2-out, bases loaded pitch in his very first spring training inning.
I wonder how this is going to adjust his outing today.
Yeah.
Earlier we heard AJ talking about he'd like to see 3 innings from Dallas Keuchel, but I don't see that happening now. Next pitch will be number 28.
Yeah, the likelihood of Dallas going 3 after this inning, although we have seen him
True.
throw some 8, 9, 10 pitch innings in the past, he might need a couple of those to get through 3 today. Maybin will be a guy who will play all 3 positions for the Marlins, and he's kind of that guy that will be there as young talent like a Brinson and a Harrison and Sierra start to build their way into being everyday major leaguers. Maybin can kind of fill that role this year until those guys are ready.
And I'm glad to see the Marlins doing that, have a veteran like Maybin around.
Yeah, what a great guy in the clubhouse. Dallas gets him swinging to leave the bases loaded. Dallas had to work that first inning.
Your friend orders
Half of the first inning, Dallas Keuchel working through a bases loaded situation, ended up striking out 3 in the first. Here's how the Astros will line things up against the left-handed starter, Dylan Peters. Jake Marisnick will lead things off in center field, followed by Derek Fisher. Alex Bregman hits in the 3 spot. Evan Gattis is the DH today. Brian McCann makes his second start behind the dish. 3 straight lefties. Actually, Tyler White will play second base, and he'll hit right-handed. Plays second and bat 6. J.D. Davis is the first baseman. Kyle Tucker is in right field, and Super Jack gets another start at shortstop.
Dylan Peters for the Miami Marlins, competing for maybe the back end of their rotation. Left-hander, stands at 5'9". Not tall in stature, but he can bring it a little bit. Pumps that fastball in the low 90s. A couple of good secondary pitches.
Jake Marisnick getting a chance to lead off today. Jake takes a pitch outside for a ball. It's 1-0.
Last outing was not very good for Dylan Peters. Third of an inning. 1 earned run given up. 4 walks.
Yeah, you always wonder how a guy's going to bounce back from an outing like that, and early on he's missed with the first 2 to Jake. It's 2-0.
Well, is it exactly fair to put him in against a team? I know it's the big leagues and you have to pitch against teams, but the Astros, they like to take some pitches, work some walks, and hit some mistakes.
That is down and in, and quickly Dylan Peters is behind 3-0. He's a Texas Longhorn. And first 4 out of the zone, so that's exactly where he was in his last outing when he struggled against the Washington Nationals. So he has walked Marisnick on 4 pitches, and here's Derek Fisher. Fisher 5 for 14 this spring. Has a double and a triple amongst his 5 hits. There's the first strike thrown by Peters. It's 0-1. Guys like Derek Fisher, Tyler White, J.D. Davis in today's lineup for the Astros, just trying to find their way on this roster and hope for as many opening day or hope for as many major league starts as possible. But the reality is those guys, and you can add Tony Kemp's name and A.J. Reed's name to the list, those are guys that might be starting if they were in the other dugout and be key weapons in the Marlins lineup.
Yeah, they would definitely be on the clock as far as major league service time.
Swing and a miss. The throw by Real Muto is a good one, but Jake in there safely with a head first slide. Real Muto put the throw on the money, but Jake has his first steal of the spring.
It's a pretty good jump, and you know what else is great about it? You see Fisher swinging through it, and the throw from Real Muto is that you've got a pitcher on the mound, even though he's left-handed, he's focusing on the hitter. He's having a tough time with command, so that's another mental note you make. If you know that a pitcher is more focused on the hitter, you can take a chance like Jake Marisnick just did.
It's actually Jake's second steal. He stole home in a game we televised earlier this spring.
With the help of Super Jack.
Of course. Who's back in there today. Kind of fitting in our 8th telecast of 10 in our final game of the spring that we get to watch Super Jack get a start.
Yeah, I'm going to have to tell AJ I appreciate that.
Carlos Correa, we'll see enough of him during the regular
Yeah,
season.
I was going to say, we're going to get plenty of that.
We need to see Jack in the spring. 2-2 pitches down low, and now after being ahead of the count, Peters is full against Derek Fisher, 3-2. Peters last year spent most of the season at the AA level, the Southern League with Jacksonville, but then he appeared in 6 starts for the Miami Marlins in September. Called third strike. C.B. Bucknor, as Fisher was flipping the bat away, calls him out on strikes.
Excuse me, Todd. I'm going to go to my car and get my fishing pole real quick and see if I can reel this strike zone back in from CB. We've seen some edginess. This one almost looked a little bit low to me, but Derek Fisher didn't really feel that was a strike.
We saw last year in his rookie season, Fisher has a pretty good idea of the strike zone.
Yeah, he really does. I've seen that from several Astros that have come up through the minor leagues, is they come up with a very good strike zone command. And the unwillingness to venture outside the strike zone is unique for youth.
Fisher second on the team this spring in walks behind Tyler White. Here's Alex Bregman. Bregman has 3 hits this spring, a single, a triple, and a home run. He's driven in 4, 3 for 17. Alex was interviewed earlier in a spring training game by Julia Morales and claimed his postseason highlight, number 1, was winning the World Series, Game 7 at Dodger Stadium. His personal favorite highlight was hitting the home run on against Chris Sale in Game 4 of the ALDS. He easily could have chosen Game 5 of the World Series, but those were 2 huge moments in the Astros championship run.
Yeah, they were large to quite large. I'm really hoping that here early on in 2018, the highlight is going to the custom suit guy.
He said he's going to change his
Get a couple of
mode.
new suits into the rotation.
He was well aware of our comments on his suits.
It's really the only reason I just said that. See if it gets back to me.
Bregman batting third today and playing third. AJ used a lot of the regulars yesterday in a road game in Jupiter.
Man, making him travel.
Yeah, 20 minutes, if that.
If that.
So no George Springer today, no Jose Altuve today, no Carlos Correa today, no Josh Reddick today. Those guys all saw action yesterday on the road. Jake drawing some attention over at second base. Three and 1 to count. Mentioned Peter struggled with his command last outing where he walked 4 in a third of an inning against the Washington Nationals. His first outing was very good against the Cardinals. Pitched 2 innings of shutout baseball, did not walk a batter in that outing. Inside ball 4, and Peters has walked 2 and struck out 1 so far in this first inning. Guarantee all the 2018 tickets you want with a full or partial season ticket plan. Season tickets let you enjoy the best seats at Minute Maid Park, save money, and receive great benefits all year long. Call 1-877-9-ASTROS or visit astros.com/season tickets for more info and to get your seats today. Here's Evan Gattis. Gattis DHing today. Peters continues to struggle with the zone. Evan 5 for 16 on the spring. Sharply hit, backhanded nicely. The play made to second. Good play by the shortstop Yadiel Rivera as they retire Alex Bregman on the fielder's choice. So Rivera to Mooney. Gattis lives on the fielder's choice, putting runners on first and third for Brian McCann.
Ball was ripped by Evan. Good play by the shortstop Rivera. No chance you turn that with Evan running.
McCann facing a lefty. Brian's still looking for that first spring training knock. Does have an RBI on a fielder's choice.
These left-on-left ABs are great for these guys in spring training, but you would like it to be against a guy who has a little bit better command, just so you can dial in on the AB instead of wondering if the next pitch is going to be in the zone.
A lot of teams will shift Brian McCann, but the Marlins have a unique one.
This is really unique. They've got a rover on the right side, not a second baseman.
And the shortstop on the left side. So
this is what I don't know. I mean, there probably is a good explanation for it, but if you're going to shift everybody. That second base, a standard 48 hopper to the second base position is now a base hit and a run scores.
Up and in, and McCann has a 3-0 count. AJ pretty much has let everybody swing 3-0 this spring. I would assume McCann, if he likes it, can take a big rip at this 3-0 pitch.
Ooh, I could let go of a cannonball.
Ooh,
good swing.
He wanted one.
Yeah.
We haven't had a chance to practice that one yet this spring.
Oh, it's ready.
Wind today is a little lighter than normal, but it is coming in from right. It has not been a left-handed hitter's paradise this spring in West Palm Beach.
It's actually how I wake my kids up.
Up and in, bases are loaded on 3 walks. Peters walked Marisnik, Bregman, and now McCann. And he'll deal with Tyler White with the bases full. Tyler White hitting an even 300. Leads the team in runs scored with 7. Breaking ball misses in, and this is the second visit already for Real Muto in the first inning. We're keeping count.
Yeah, it's not a good pace.
They're allowed 6 this year, mound visits between infielders, the catcher, the pitching coach. In a non-pitching change situation, you're limited to 6 mound visits, and they're a third the way through already.
Have we discussed repercussions if you try and go out for the 7th visit? Slap on the wrist or a shame on you? They Twitter shame you? That could be a serious consequence.
Popped out of play. Oh, Real Muto, he'll have as tough a job as anybody this spring because the Marlins have so many different pitchers vying for spots not only in the rotation but the bullpen. They have 7 or 8 guys going for spots 3, 4, and 5 in the rotation.
Yeah, you show up to Miami camp, you got a chance. If they give you a jersey and let you run on the field, you got an opportunity to make a big league roster.
Up and in, it's 2-1.
You know, going back to the 2 visits that you said from Real Muto, we have not seen the pitching coach. You think there'd be a real opportunity for Juan Nieves to go out there and have a conversation and use one of those visits?
There is bullpen action going for the Marlins. Big swing by Tyler White may have caught Real Muto in the mask. It's 2-2.
Yeah, I think it squared him up pretty good. C.B. Buckner with a courtesy walk around and throw back to the pitcher to give him time to get himself back in shape back there.
Now the count is run full. Well, it's been quite an interesting inning from the Texas Longhorn, Dylan Peters, 25-year-old lefty. He has walked 3. He has picked up a strikeout. The other out on a fielder's choice. Just like the top of the first inning, we have a bases loaded, 2 out, full count situation. And the same result. Tyler White strikes out. Dylan Peters gets him to finish off the inning and leave the bases loaded.
I do. I love the panic.
Welcome back, and catch Astros Bases Loaded all season long for in-depth features and analysis, profiles of your favorite players, and much more. Our 2018 season preview premieres 6 p.m. March 23rd, and new episodes will air every Friday before the Astros pregame show. Catch Astros Bases Loaded all season long only on AT&T Sportsnet. That should be a good show. We got some good interviews when we were here early. Have I been here almost 3 weeks?
You have.
It was that first week that we did those interviews.
How long has it felt for you, Julia?
Oh, you know, it just started to feel like I've been here for a while. I think the sunburn and
Yeah, but
the early mornings.
In WEM days, it's like twice as many.
No, but seriously, that the Astros Bases Loaded will be a good one.
Give us some tease us a little bit. Like, who are some of the guys that you interviewed that you're like, oh, that's going to be really good for the show?
Reddick was great. You know, Charlie Morton and some of these guys who had big moments in the postseason were great to sit down and talk to, especially talking about that final out. I did get to ask a lot of them just what do they remember about the final out, and the things that they saw from their vantage point, and what they thought in that moment was really cool. So to break that down for some of these guys, I told you Charlie got me teared up a little bit talking about his final out moment. Yeah, I mean, he was great at just describing the range of emotions that he felt on the mound, and looking back at home plate to see if McCann was there. But of course, McCann was backing up first, and then he was making sure it was the third out. I mean, all of it coming together for him. And then, of course, when he finally did get to celebrate, it's a really cool moment.
I would have loved to have heard Charlie's comments about Alex Bregman's comments while they were doing post-game interviews in the clubhouse. Alex Bregman was saying some of the greatest lines about Charlie Morton and how much he appreciated him. I can't repeat them on air, but they were spectacular, and it gave you a good idea of what Charlie meant to this ball club.
Yeah, there was such a confidence level when the Astros brought him into Game 7 of the World Series.
There really was. And that's something that we don't get up here in the booth. I mean, they appreciated the heck out of what Charlie Morton went out there and did in Game 7.
Eric Campbell will lead off base hit for the Marlins, and now Peter Mooney will bat against Dallas Keuchel. Some of my favorite reactions to the final out of Game 7 of the World Series were hearing Verlander and Keuchel talk about running in from the bullpen, something they've never done before.
Right.
Like, what are we doing out here? They're used to hopping over the rail.
Yeah, with a sweatshirt on and, tennis shoes.
And then next thing you know, they're racing to get to the mound. Here's a ball in the right field that falls in front of Kyle Tucker. Well, Peter Mooney with a single into right center, not hit well, but in the right spot. And Keuchel's now allowed 3 base hits. He's walked a batter and hit a batter. And he'll face the number 9 hitter, Yadiel Rivera. That was uncharted territory for Keuchel and Verlander being in the bullpen. Verlander had never pitched out of the bullpen in his entire career until Game 4 of the ALDS. Ended up getting the win in that clinching game against the Red Sox.
It's amazing when you dangle that carrot of a world championship out in front of guys. Yeah, I'll go to the bullpen, whatever you need.
Yeah.
The roles change a little bit, and everybody's contributing in some way.
And both of them said, as well as everybody else in the bullpen, once they saw Charlie lock in Game 7, they knew that they were not going to even have to worry about pitching.
That's what I thought was interesting, too, because on TV sometimes you really don't get an idea of what's happening on the field. And they said as soon as after that first inning of Charlie Morton, all of a sudden they saw something that was a little bit different. That sinker got a little bit heavier, got a little bit more firm. And the way Alex Bregman was describing a 99-mile-an-hour bowling ball going in there, he said that he felt more than comfortable at third base knowing that Charlie was on the mound.
It's fun to watch. It was a brilliant performance by a lot of guys who were in roles that they hadn't been in before. McCullers finishing out Game 7 of the ALCS. Charlie finishing out Game 7 of the World Series. Brad Peacock, who did a little bit of everything for that staff last year. Colin McHugh threw 4 shutout innings, even though it was a game that the Astros lost in Yankee Stadium. Saved some arms that day. And then next thing you know, for the first time in 56 years, the Astros were hoisting the trophy. Dallas facing Yadiel Rivera with a count of 1-2. and they're 2-2. And there's visit number 1, Brian McCann and Dallas Keuchel. Dallas is 39 pitches in. It will not be a 3-inning stint today for Dallas Keuchel. In fact, bullpen action has already started for A.J. Hinch with nobody out in the second inning. Upstairs, 3-2. Bregman gloves it in foul territory.
I think one of the reasons you don't really see Dallas Keuchel panic too much in situations like this, other than the fact it's spring training and he's working on things, is that when he does get runners on base or he doesn't have the greatest of command, he always knows he's one pitch away. You talked about that high ground ball percentage that he does have in his career and last season. And when you're playing defense behind Dallas, you know there's always an opportunity with guys on base to get that ground ball and get 2 outs.
There's the ground ball, but it's slowly hit. It will only allow 1 out. That was a nice play by Bregman to get the 1 out.
But the issue also with Dallas Keuchel is he creates so much soft contact that sometimes the ball's not hit hard enough to turn that double play. It took a pretty good play by Bregman going to his left to get that runner at first base. Good play. It's good to see J.D. Davis over there on a bang-bang play, stretching. And I don't know if you noticed it, but on that replay, actually striding towards the baseball. That's something good first basemen do, is they kind of gather themselves at first base, recognize the throw, and then step to it to get that ball before the runner.
Infield in, and this ball scoots by Tyler White into the outfield at the bat of Magneuris Sierra, and the Marlins have the first run of the game on an RBI single from the young left fielder Sierra. Dallas allows a run in his first spring training outing. Worked out of a bases loaded 2-out jam in the first, but allows a second inning run.
Did a good job. The infield was in. He got himself a ground ball just out of the reach of Tyler White, playing second base for Jose Altuve today. That's another thing. When you carry around several gloves and you've got to move around the infield, then all of a sudden you're playing in an infield in type situation. And we hear guys talking about angles off the bat. Sometimes that reaction time is sped up when you're playing in like that. It's tough to create a good angle to get the good hop to make the play to pick up your pitcher.
Pitch misses to Real Muto, who was hit by a pitch his first time up. Dallas getting the work in. 44 pitches in the second inning. Marlins with 4 hits. There's also been a walk and a hit batter in an inning and a third. In the shallow right, Kyle Tucker coming on, sliding catch. The runner's going to tag. The throw home is not in time. It short hops past Brian McCann. That allows Mooney to score. And Sierra over to second. Tough play for Brian McCann on the short hop.
It was a tough play. Good sliding catch by Kyle Tucker, who pops up immediately and fires home. If there was a long hop in that throw, he might have been able to get to it. I really haven't had a chance to talk to Brian McCann about these new rules at home plate with the collisions. He caught at a time where he just planted himself in front of that plate and make the play.
Dallas Keuchel's day is done after that run crossed the plate. A.J. Hinch, after an inning and 2/3, saw his pitch count elevated at 45 pitches. So Dallas is done, and we'll tell you about Tico, Chris Stavinsky coming in and out of the bullpen after this.
Astros mini plans are on sale now. Pick the games and seats that work best for you with a 15-game flex plan, or get the best giveaways with a 10-game bobblehead plan. Call 1-877-9-ASTROS or visit astros.com/mini plans to get yours today.
Dallas Keuchel's afternoon is over in his first spring training start. He allows 2 runs to this point in an inning and 2/3. It's up to Devo, Chris Davinsky, to keep it at just that. Davinsky facing Lewis Brinson. Brinson swings through the first one. It's 0-1.
Good changeup right out of the chute from Devo. Probably treating this like a regular season appearance. Come in here and shut things down and get out of this inning.
Yeah, I think AJ's looking at it the same way. Keuchel didn't get through the innings that we thought he might, 2 or 3 innings today. And he's like, hey, Devo, why not bring him in? Second base, 2 outs. This is a situation you may see Devo coming in the regular season. That was a really good pick on that last pitch by Brian McCann.
I actually thought that was probably the play of the year so far in our
right there.
Yeah, that pick on a long hop from Devo, that was good, keeping the runner at second base. And Devo too. This is another opportunity. I'm going to ask AJ about it when he comes on. But these up and downs that they talk about, this is a chance for Devo to get that 3rd out, sit down, and then come back up, maybe try and get a full inning of work in next.
Shallow right, sliding play by Kyle Tucker ends the inning. Well, Brinson hit it off the end of the bat to right, and Tucker makes the play.
It's actually a carbon copy of the one previously. Nice play by Ted.
It's the Rooms to Go anniversary.
Inning, the Marlins lead the Astros 2-0, and the Astros will have J.D. Davis lead off the bottom half of the second, and J.D.'s in a battle for playing time now with Yuli Gurriel on injuring that thumb and having the hamate bone taken out.
Yeah, it's good to see J.D. back in there. Had a little bit of an issue on a tag play at first base a couple days ago, but it should be heating up here a little bit. We're getting through the first couple weeks of spring training in these games, so these guys should be settling in and getting comfortable in the box. So we should hopefully see some of these numbers start to jump a little bit for these guys when they get their opportunity. And I know we talk about it a lot, but knowing that Yuli got hurt early enough in camp, there's so many games and so many opportunities left in the rest of spring that it's going to be great for AJ to be able to give these guys a fair shot, all 3 of them at first base.
Breaking ball misses. It's 1-1. JD came out of the game for precautionary reasons a couple of nights ago, the lone night broadcast of our spring training telecast. But he's back in there and ready to go. Good to see him in the lineup. It's 2-1. We've seen Tyler White and AJ Reed get their reps over at first base. A little mixed bag for Dallas today, but I think the most important thing is he got his work in and threw his 45 pitches.
Yeah, you can throw all the bullpens you want, have that arm stretched out. It's until you get on the field and actually get a little bit of that adrenaline push. Yes, even in spring training, because it's still a big league game to these guys. They're competitors. They want to go out there and prove their worth.
Eric Fisher having a conversation with Dallas. JD with a 2-2 count. Julia, you talked to him for the pregame show today. What stuck out with your conversation with JD?
Well, we heard from AJ he was going to put him in left field at some point here in the next week or so, and then of course playing first today. Obviously played third in his career, but I asked just, how early do you even have to get to the ballpark to get all these reps in at all these different positions, and then of course play them well, or want to play them well enough to be given the opportunity to be on the big league roster? And he said, yeah, there was like 10 out of 11 days that we had early work. It was him and Fisher getting a lot of work in, but obviously very worth it. He said it would mean the world for him to be a part of the big league club when it opens. Still has a lot to work on, and he's been working really hard with the assistant hitting coach Jeff Albert, along with a lot of these guys, as they're trying to learn his ways of coaching, and he's got ideas for all these guys. So they're trying to implement that here, and then of course bring it over to these spring training games and make an impact on the front office and of course AJ and everyone that's watching.
No, that's really good stuff. The thing that jumped out to me, and it's interesting, as you see Kyle Tucker just redirect one down the left field line. Ted can do it.
He's going for second. The throw's offline. Double against the lefty, although it wasn't your classic swing.
Maybe that's his left-on-left swing. And we're going to look at it again. All he has to do is just get the barrel started, and he gets knocks.
How did he hit this?
I'm not sure. Well, we're down here in Florida. Don't they have highlight tournaments down here? That might be a second career for him.
Well, Peters had his pitch count up in the first inning. He's going to be taken out of this game, but
what a way to go out on a check swing double.
Kyle Tucker takes him the other way for double, and that's the end of the day for Dylan Peters. We'll tell you about the new Marlins pitcher when we come back.
Good.
Second base, 1 out, pitching change for the Marlins. As we were talking before we went to commercial about some extra work. New pitcher is Ben Meyer for the Marlins, 6'6" right-hander. And Julie was mentioning how JD had to have early work 10 of 11 days. And Lummer, you were starting to make a point right before that check swing, kind of strange hit by Kyle Tucker.
Yeah, it's just interesting having the Marlins in here because their first base coach is a coach named Perry Hill, and he is basically the infielding guru. But I was lucky enough when I was at Montreal Expo and Felipe Alou asked me if I could play third base. I said yes. If he said, can you play first base? I said yes. Can you play the outfield? I said yes. Because I wanted to be in the big leagues, and one of the ways I found my way in was to be able to play those positions. But I had some flashbacks, 10 of 11 days on those backfields with Perry Hill. That's how I spent a lot of spring trainings with the Expos. And we called it Dawn Patrol. It'd be a fungo, a bucket of baseballs, and whatever glove I brought out with me that day. And it's just repetition, it's practice, it's slowing things down on those backfields, getting around the bases, and finding what angles work best. It's a little bit different now because shifting has completely changed some of the positioning. But you got to go out there, get the fungos, and it changes batting practice for guys that play multiple positions because you've got to go out and actually play batting practice as if it's in game. So you get so you can do a good job of getting good footwork and reading the ball off the bat.
Yeah, over the years, certain guys have become respected around baseball, and Perry Hill certainly would be one of the top instructors when it comes to infield D. There's so many guys who really have attributed their success on the infield. D. Gordon, who's now an outfielder, raved about the work Perry did with him.
He has a very good philosophy. I think it's the 6 or 7 F's, but I can't remember all of them, but the one I do remember is funneling. You know, getting your hands well out in front of you, reading that hop, and bringing that ball into the center of your body at all costs, because that just made you so much more efficient in making a good play, number one, but also getting yourself in a good position after the catch to make a good throw. Because once you catch it, you're not done. You still got to fire that thing across the diamond and complete the play.
Super Jack's hanging in there, down in the count 1-2. Jack was expecting to face a lefty today, and he's the only guy in the starting lineup that sees the new 6'6" righty instead for his first AB.
It's okay. Every time they've tested Super Jack in this spring training, he's answered.
He's got an RBI opportunity here with Kyle Tucker on second with that awkward looking but effective opposite field double.
Can't teach that.
Somehow he made contact with the baseball, because it's not his normal looking swing. 2-2 the count. Meyer's a kid out of University of Minnesota. He's 24 years old. Ground ball, fair ball down the left field line. He has done it again on a spring training telecast. Super Jack Mayfield drives in the first Houston run on an RBI double, scoring Kyle Tucker.
A little more traditional double. The back-to-back doubles between the 8 and 9 hitters in the Astros lineup. Super Jack and TV and spring training add up to production. Fouled off some tough pitches going over that first base dugout, but here he gets a fastball in and turns on it. Keeps it just fair. Tucker scores easily.
I would love to see his batting average for our spring training telecast the last 2 years. Because actually on the full spring, Jack's only 4 for 16. Huh. But we've seen all 4 of those hits in 5 at bats.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
his
he's 0 for
sabermetric
11.
line on TV is off the charts.
0 for 11 when there's no bright lights of television. 4 for 5 when we're on. He is a prime-time player.
He's a big and bright type player.
And last year, AJ couldn't stop talking about this guy. He ended up with as many at-bats as the regulars who made the team. Good to see him have a chance to start some games. Last year, he always came in as a reserve, as Jake Marisnick takes one inside. It's 2-0.
You know, it's something we take for granted now because the Astros have such a solid roster and not much competition for positions. But when these guys go out and play like a Jack Mayfield, not high on that prospect list, means a lot to the organization because he's kind of a character guy, also plays all over the field, puts together great ABs. Guess what? There's 29 other teams. Every time these guys go out and play a spring training game, there's at least 5 to 10 scouts sitting behind home plate. And it just takes that one opportunity to get noticed and have another team come out and pick you up possibly. Although I'd be disappointed if Super Jack left.
Yeah, a lot of people would. He has become the spring training hero in the last 2 camps for the Astros. We thought we had a new Super Jack at the beginning of the spring this year when Ryan Burke went 3 for 3. But we haven't seen much of the Texas A&M product the last couple weeks.
Yeah, AJ squashed that real quick, didn't he?
He put that one away. 3-1 pitch, Jake swings and pops it up. The pitcher is deferring now to the shortstop. And Rivera puts it away for out number 2. So Jake pops up for the second out. Jake has walked and stolen a base and now officially 0 for 1. And Meyer will face Derek Fisher. Fisher struck out looking his first time. Takes takes a called strike. Derek on a 3-2 pitch thought he had drawn a walk. CB Bucknor called him out on strikes. Dylan Peters, the University of Texas Longhorn, started the game for Miami. He lasted an inning and a third. He walked 3, he struck out 3 and allowed a double. That was Kyle Tucker, who came around to score, so he's charged with 1 run. Dallas Keuchel went an inning and 2/3, 4 hits and 2 runs. A walk and 3 strikeouts. Also hit a batter. Marlins have been working on their pickoff move at second today. Mayfield gets back. Astros coming in 7-3-1 on the spring, and the Marlins have had a pretty good spring as well. They are 6-3-1. 2 completely different springs, though. The Astros don't have much in terms of position battles or roster spots available, while the Marlins have all kinds of spring training opportunities. Here's a fly ball lofted into left field. Magner Sierra is there for the final out. Fisher retires, and that'll do it for the Astros, but they got a run back. It's now 2-1.
It's Ram Truck Month.
Astros prepare for the 2018 season at the 15 ballpark in the Palm Beaches. For tickets and more information, visit astros.com/spring training. Another gorgeous day in West Palm Beach. Todd Kalish, Jeff Blum, Julia Morales. Last time we'll be all together on a broadcast until opening day in Arlington. Derek Dietrich will bunt against the shift, and this ball, if it stays fair, is a hit. Instead, it goes foul.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Dietrich was already starting to take off his batting gloves. He was convinced he was already on first base.
Cruel, cruel game.
I mean, he's looking like, all right, I got myself a knock.
Yeah, he's breaking it down.
And he is unfortunate to have that ball roll foul back in the batter's box.
Yeah, make that a U-turn.
I don't know if we could have asked for a better week and a half of weather than we've had this spring.
Yeah, it's been pretty spectacular.
Always enjoy our time down here. Julia will still be back for a couple more telecasts.
You go, girl.
Kevin Eschenfelder and Mike Stanton will handle the last 2 of the spring in a couple of weeks. And hopefully they are greeted with the same weather we've had, because it has been about perfect every day. Breaking ball from Devo on the inside corner.
I think I've got pregame out here too.
Jeez, getting their money's worth.
You're doing pregame when we come back?
Live from site.
But you'll have some help with the regular pregame guys, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I bet we have some guests sit and join me. By that point, a couple of weeks from now, camp will be thinned out. Maybe some more storylines to follow. See who we can.
You can talk about Todd because he won't be here to fight you or anything.
That'll be the first segment.
That a kid. Oh, that was a good one.
It will be sad if you don't have Super Jack to interview. Called strike to Garrett Cooper. Yeah, camp will change dramatically in 2 weeks. Pitchers will be stretched out a little more.
Minor leaguers here yet? They just showed up today or tomorrow. So this camp will be in full swing. There's going to be a lot of action around here. Julia gets back down. But yeah, there'll definitely be maybe one, maybe two cuts by the time the Astros are back on air.
Here, Cooper walked his first time up, and Davinsky makes quick work of him. 3 pitches and a strikeout. Devo's retired all 3 batters he has faced.
There's a very good slider starting on that outside third and then breaking down and away. As soon as Cooper started that swing, that pitch started to break away. Really no chance.
Cameron Maben taking a pitch for a ball. It's 1-0. We were talking in his last AB about how it's a really good addition to this team, having a little veteran presence and having a guy that no matter what clubhouse he's been in seems to always be one of the most popular players on the team.
Yeah, I didn't have a chance because Dallas punched him out, but that's what I wanted to get to, is the fact that the reason he's over here and why it's a good addition, because he is a good guy, and it speaks to what Cameron Maben can bring to a ball club, not only talent-wise, but also inside that clubhouse.
We knew a little bit of him, and he was originally with the Marlins and then moved to a couple of different teams. We knew a little bit of him being around the big leagues, but I remember we were flying back from the series against the Rangers in Tampa Bay, and on the flight we noticed that his foundation was already working to support Hurricane Harvey, and that's kind of the guy he is. His family dug in and got involved right away when he was a member of the Astros for about 2 hours at that point.
That might have been his first tweet as an Astro, is saying that he's got a pretty good vehicle in that foundation to raise money quickly to help out some of the people affected by Harvey. That was a great signal coming in.
2-2 pitch is a fastball at 96 for Devo as he strikes out his former teammate to end the third. It is 2-1 Marlins after 2.5.
The Astros are
back here at Fit Team Ballpark of the Palm Beaches. Marlins and Astros going after it. Some pitchers coming out early. We have another pitching change for the Miami Marlins. Same number, different guy. Number 88 on the mound again for the Miami Marlins. Name has changed though, and the player inside of it. Trevor Richards is now the pitcher of record for the Miami Marlins.
When you have a team like the Marlins where they are seeing as many pitchers as possible, you end up sometimes with the same number and a different name. Trevor Richards coming on after saw Meyer last inning pitch. Ben Meyer pitched to 3 batters in the second inning, and now it's Trevor Richards facing the heart of the Astros lineup: Alex Bregman, Evan Gattis, and Brian McCann. Well, you were expecting to see Devo for that up-down, and he performed admirably.
Did really well. And that's what Devo's good for. When he is right, the fastball is electric, and he's locating some good off-speed pitches, and he's able to go multiple innings.
Bregman sends Magner Sierra all the way back in front of the warning track, but he puts it away for out number 1. Alex is retired. So an inning and a third for Davinsky, retiring all 4 batters. And here's Evan Gattis. Evan bounced into a fielder's choice his first time up. Evan DHing today. That's where they anticipate seeing most of his action in 2018. Astros do anticipate Lance McCullers pitching today and hope to see 3 innings out of Lance. We saw Chris Davinsky for an inning and a third. Will Harris warming up, expected to see him in the 4th. We'll have AJ Hinch on in the 5th today. We've had him on sometimes in the 4th, sometimes in the 5th. He'll be on in the top half of the 5th inning this afternoon.
To be honest, it's his show.
It is.
Doesn't even need a production meeting. He just says, I'm coming on in the 5th.
Three and 1 to Gattis. Pitcher Richards last year's split time between right up the road in Jupiter in the Florida State League, 11 starts with Jupiter, and then moved up to the Southern League where he made 14 starts. 24-year-old out of Illinois. He went from the Jupiter Hammerheads to the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp.
Is that really a team name?
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's great.
Evan Gattis, despite the speed that Plummer and Julia talk about, is being pinch run for here.
That is disappointing. See him go first to home. Nothing like it.
Gattis' day is done as Garrett Stubbs takes over as a pinch runner. Evan was on base twice, a fielder's choice and a walk. Now here's Brian McCann. He faced a lefty his first time up, now getting to face a right-hander. And if you have not seen our telecast before, and hopefully you have in the last couple years, but Plummer and Julia claim, and it's in the record books, that Evan Gattis once had a double-digit triple season, which I find hard to believe.
Yeah, you look at the record books on his career. Nothing. You could have told me to look at it.
Oh,
It's
I was
all
taking a
right.
drink of iced tea.
I know.
You timed
Priorities.
it. Sorry.
His career, he has 12, Evan Gattis that is, has 12 career triples. We saw 11 in one single season. And Todd has yet to see one. It was remarkable.
Oh my goodness. I need to see a highlight package with all his triples. 2 and 1 to Brian McCann.
It would be extensive.
McCann hit a triple last year.
Mark that off the bucket list.
I want to say it happened in Anaheim.
Wow.
I'm going to try and go back and look at it.
Was there a collision involved?
No, he just hit one high and deep off the right center. It was a big triple. I believe it was Anaheim. I'll find it. B-Mac looking for his first hit this spring. He did walk his last time up.
Who was it? Lance Johnson, triple king. All he used to do was hit triples. I actually started my career early enough to be in a spring training with him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and everything he hit in the cage, if it caught the outfield grass, he goes, "That's a triple." So that was eerily reminiscent to Evan Gaddis. I believe it was 2015. That's a triple.
Ball down low. Stubbs is on the move. Doesn't matter. That's a walk. And puts runners on first and second with one out. Our producer, Carl Patterson, I was finding it right around the same time. It was August 27th in Anaheim. Brian McCann with a triple in that game. And it was a big triple. It came in the 8th inning and gave the Astros a 5-4 lead as he cleared the bases. Altuve, Reddick, and Gurriel scored. Turned a 4-2 deficit into a 5-4 lead. Here's Tyler White taking a pitch for a ball. It's 1-0. Came against Cam Bedrosian. White struck out in the first inning. And this hits him. 84-mile-an-hour breaking ball, and Trevor Richards has walked two and hit a batter. So we saw Dylan Peters in the first inning work around 3 walks. And now Trevor Richards trying to work around a couple of walks and a hit batter.
So a lot of talk about the baseballs being juiced, but I think the ones that they're using today are allergic to the strike zone.
It has not been a pitching clinic for sure. J.D. Davis, the batter. J.D. takes a called strike. Now it's 0-2. Richards is a guy who had to find his way into professional baseball with a little different route. Wasn't drafted, decided to go play in the Frontier League. Played 2 seasons with the Gateway Grizzlies. And signed a minor league deal in July of 2016, and here he is pitching in a major league spring training game facing J.D. Davis with the bases loaded and 1 out. He's ahead of the count 0-2. J.D. struck out his first time up. J.D. does have 4 RBIs on the spring. Call, 3rd strike.
Wow. With a pitching wedge to get that one out of the strike zone.
Usually when the glove hits the dirt.
Are you kidding? Good Lord. Great job of framing by JT Real Muto. Put that on the metrics.
And your description of CB Buckner strike zone today?
Yeah. It's roaming.
It is
We need to reel this thing in.
a bit ambiguous. Here's Kyle Tucker, who had a very unusual looking double his first time up. And takes a big rip at the first pitch. It's 0-1. Bases loaded, 2 outs. 1-1 the count. Some fan just yelled, "That is a strike," on the pitch in the dirt. It's not been CB's best couple of innings. 3 home runs, 8 RBIs for Tucker. Chance to add to that total. Instead, he grounds one off his foot at the plate. It's 1-2. Stubbs at third. Garrett pinch running for Evan Gaddis. Ryan McCann, he'll get another AB. He's at second. McCann's walked twice. And Tyler White over at first. Second inning out of 3 where the Astros have had the bases loaded. My color analyst has lost it officially. 1-2 pitch. CB punches him out. That will look like a pretty good pitch on the outside corner, and Tucker goes down looking for the final out of the third.
And it's brought to you by Kubota. It is Dallas Keuchel against the Yankees in 3 playoff starts. Remember, he started that wild card game back in 2015 and did an incredible job out there in Yankee Stadium. But in those 3 starts against the Yankees, 2.04 ERA. That batting average against is a 209 batting average. And the OPS, that total of getting on base and driving the baseball off Dallas Keuchel, is very low too at 482. Showing good command to the guys from the Big Apple.
Dallas has always fared well against the Bronx Bombers. Got his first spring training outing today and pitched an inning in 2/3 while he was in there before Chris Davinsky took over for the next inning and a third, and now it's Will Harris's turn.
Not off to an electric start, but still early enough in spring. And we know that when Will is right, he is a quality right arm out of that bullpen with that cutter curveball combination.
Third appearance of the spring, second against the Miami Marlins. Also faced them back on the 26th of February. Facing Eric Campbell, who singled and scored his first time up. Campbell came over from the New York Mets. He's having himself a good spring for the Marlins. Played with the Mets parts of the last 3 seasons. Or actually from 2014 through 16, and Campbell trying to make a name for himself on the current Miami Marlins roster. Martin Prado expected to be the opening day third baseman. Inside for a ball, it's 2-2. The other spot on the left side of their infield could be interesting. Miguel Rojas, JT Riddle going head-to-head for the starting shortstop. For Riddle, it's a matter of being healthy as Campbell strikes out. Harris strikes out the first batter he faces. AJ loves having Will Harris in there when there is a righty-lefty-righty combo, because Will has done so well against left-handers in his career.
He's got one of the last few remaining true 12-6 breaking balls. But it's that cut fastball that makes him highly effective too. Get him on the hands of left-handed hitters.
Peter Mooney, the batter. Mooney singled to right against Dallas Keuchel in his lone AB. Also scored a run. Julia, what do you have for us on Will Harris?
Well, Will, one of the guys we got to sit down with, he's really excited and looking forward to seeing how AJ's going to use the bullpen this year. A couple of new guys in there, but good relievers, good arms in that bullpen, and they were good at times last year. And of course, they've had their troubles, and that's part of being in the bullpen. But he loves the way that they work together and kind of pump each other up, a team within the team, as he called it. And also for him, missing time last year down the stretch, he said that more than ever this offseason, he worked on his shoulder health. And, you know, hopefully not to help him just this year, but to lengthen that career out. He's been doing this for some time, so that was his main focus over the offseason.
33 years old, appeared in 46 games last year with the Astros. Slowly hit towards the middle, White to his right, off balance throw, nicely done, 2 away.
That was that cutter in on the hands of Mooney. That's what it does, just gets all up in the kitchen, usually creates contact around the label of the bat, which leads to that soft contact you just saw. A good play by Tyler.
Last year for Will, he was a little more neutral. Lefties, righties, about the same OPS. Still a little bit better against lefties. In his career, though, a 551 OPS against left-hand hitters. 686 against righties. You don't find a lot of right-handed relievers that have as much success against lefties as you do with both Will Harris and Chris Davinsky coming out of the Astros bullpen. Gadiel Rivera takes one inside. It's 2-0.
Got way too much of the zone.
Oh, we see the familiar colorful glove of Lance McCullers Jr. starting to warm up in the Astros bullpen, so he should pitch innings 5, 6, and 7 if things go according to plan in Lance's second outing of the spring. Will Harris behind the number 9 hitter, 3-0. There's Lance.
The reason he wears that glove is because of the late Miami Marlin, Jose Fernandez, in remembrance of him. They were good friends.
You know, when you see this Marlins team kind of disassemble and reassemble this past offseason, you can go back, and as tragic as that day was for the Marlins to lose one of the guys who played the game with more joy and passion than almost anybody you'll ever see, Jose Fernandez, it also unfortunately turned their franchise around a little bit too. They didn't have that one stud that they were building around in the rotation, and here they are rebooting, as we said earlier, restarting with a new team. But I'm not so sure that's their strategy if Jose Fernandez is still pitching for the Marlins.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Just a magnificent talent on the field, but he was also, like you said, the energy that guy brought to the ballpark every day for a starting pitcher was unparalleled. Meant a lot to that clubhouse, it meant a lot to that organization, meant a lot to that city.
Such a shame. 0-1 the count to Magneuris Sierra.
And Jose Fernandez was just beginning to figure it out. He had wipeout dominant type stuff.
Runner on the move, and a swing and a line drive that sprays the coaching staff. AJ and Joe were flying away from that line drive. It actually hit Sierra on that swing. It was a check swing. Oh, catcher's interference.
We would be really good at charades. People don't know that, but we would be really good at charades.
I was watching Joe Espada and AJ
You were
Hinch.
concerned about them. I wasn't so much.
Well, they have a screen in front of them, but still, when you see a line drive at your noggin.
That was not a very good attempt at the Kyle Tucker double. But in swinging so late, he got a piece of Brian McCann's glove.
Well, we're in regular season form again. There were a lot of catcher's interferences
right?
last year.
Why not?
So Sierra reaches on catcher's interference, which goes down as an error against the catcher. That's the second error committed by the Astros in this game. Kyle Tucker was charged with a throwing error earlier.
This is a CI if you're scoring at home. You see the glove go first and then the swing, but I don't think as much time was in between the release of the baseball and the swing. I don't think Brian McCann was anticipating swing at all.
JT Realmuto with a count of 2-0. So 2 quick outs for Will Harris. Now he's trying to work through a first and second 2-out 2-0 situation. Harris last year with a 3rd consecutive season of an ERA under 3 and at least 45 innings pitched. He's one of just 3 American League relievers who can make that claim. There's a strike. It's 2-1. Astros winning their game yesterday, a game we did not televise, defeating the Cardinals in Jupiter, Florida, 4-1. Jose Altuve hitting his first home run of the spring. Opposite field home run. Brad Peacock pitched 2 hitless and scoreless innings. Realmuto into pretty deep right center field, but Jake Marisnick tracks it down for the final out. Will Harris works through the 4th. It's still 2-1.
More ways than ever before by downloading the new AT HOU Sportsnet app from iTunes or Google Play, or visit attsportsnet.com to stream on your computer. Log in with your cable account and you're all set. Available for those with AT&T Sportsnet in their TV subscription. Blackout and territorial restrictions apply. TK?
All right, Julia, we head to the bottom half of the 4th inning in a 2-1 Marlins lead. They have gone through 3 pitchers so far. On to pitch the bottom half of the 4th inning, their 4th arm of the day. Gentleman out of Havana, Cuba, the 30-year-old right-hander Odresamar Despaigne.
Vying for a spot in that Miami Marlin rotation. Spent part of the year in AAA for them and in the big leagues. Fastball. In his career, averaging 91, 92 miles an hour. Rarely you'll see a slider. Little cut to his fastball, curveball, and a changeup.
Despaigne pitched a game against the Astros in 2015 as a member of the Padres, and then again in 2016 as a member of the Baltimore Orioles. And Jack Mayfield goes deep to left field, and Super Jack has done it again. The game's on TV, and this guy's the star. Jack Mayfield, 2 for 2 with an RBI double and a solo home run.
It turned into a verb. Super jacking.
He is 5 for 6 in television games with 2 home runs.
Gosh, that is just an elevated fastball that got tomahawked out of here.
What's the limit on interviews Julia's allowed to do with one player in the same spring? Jack is reaching that limit close. He's close to that limit.
He might be reaching the status of being able to blow her off. Just big leaguer. He's going to give her the hand and be like, you know what? I'm good. I think I said enough with my bat.
Here's Jake Marisnik. His bat says, ouch, there as it's a broken bat base hit. Nobody covering first on that little broken bat tweener.
Take that, ball.
Jake on base for the second time. Last time he stole second. Alex Cintron having a good laugh with Jake on that base hit. And Jake gets to head off into the sunset. Tony Kemp takes over at first base.
Is he going to be able to high-five anybody after that shot?
So far, no.
He's getting the silent treatment on that rocket.
He almost deserves it, right? That's how Jake gets treated. There's silent treatment on that base hit. Oh, there we go. There we go.
Love.
That's pretty funny. Lance is making his way down to the dugout, so you know he'll be pitching the next half inning. That's a starter mentality right there. McCullers Jr., he doesn't need any more warm-ups. He's ready to go. I'm going down to the dugout just like a starter.
Absolutely.
Who needs to come in out of the bullpen and make your way in from the outfield? Here's Derek Fisher with a 2-0 count. Fisher struck out and flied out to left.
It's a great decision until the team puts up 8 runs and you're sitting down there for a half an hour.
I was just thinking the same thing. Julia's inning the other day with the Nationals batting.
Gosh.
Lance would have had to go back a couple of times in that inning.
Yeah, that was not nice of the Astros to do that. Yeah. That's the thing. It was supposed to be extra special, but that took some of that kind of tarnished it a little bit when they were just walking the world for you.
The irony of ironies, is that all Julia hoped for was that there would be no chaos.
And we got it.
And we have chaos. There's lots of chaos.
A couple pitching changes.
Errors. 2-0 the count. 2-1 the count to Fisher.
All part of the experience.
So Lance is ready to go, huh? He's already in the dugout, Julia?
Yeah.
He's down there.
I know. It's just like he would start the game.
Right? Is he doing the handshakes too?
No, not yet.
We haven't come up with our own handshakes yet.
Ooh, we're running out of time.
We are. We do have a little time in between telecasts, so.
I thought that's what that meeting was for when we get back together. Get the high five down. Got a choreographer showing up. AT&T Sports Style will probably be there to make sure we get the right, facial expressions. You got to sell it. You don't like where this is going, do you?
No, I'm fine. I'm just letting go. We got Despaigne. He's 3-2 on Fisher. He's so far allowed a home run and a jam shot single. Astros have tied the game at 2. No, I'm good with if we develop broadcaster handshakes. Are you kidding me? There goes Tony Kemp, ground ball right side, and making the play to first wisely because Kemp would have been safe had they made the throw down. Garrett Cooper takes the put out. Now Kemp in scoring position for Alex Bregman. Despaigne last year with the Marlins, 18 games, 8 as a starter. Previous year mostly with the Orioles, was claimed off waivers by the Marlins in September. And prior to that with the Padres, mostly as a starter in 2014 and 15. Alex Bregman takes one inside. Alex has walked and fly to left. AJ Hinch will join us next inning. It'll be a little sad for us, our last conversation with AJ this spring. Always one of our highlights of our telecast. One and one the count. When you look at
it,
the Marlins rotation, we're starting to get that
mid-season
form
right there.
You got Jose Urena. You got Dan Straley. Bregman into center field, base hit. It was hit hard. Kemp still being waved home. The throw by Brinson is not in time. Tony Kemp just beats the throw, and the Astros take a 3-2 lead. Pretty good shot from center by the young outfielder.
Yes, it was. It was a good piece of hitting, too. Not trying to do too much with the runner in scoring position. Just shoot it right back up the middle. That ball was smoked off the bat. A good job by Tony Kemp. Excellent slide getting past Real Muto.
Bregman with the RBI, and he is lifted from the game. Nick Tanalou is the pinch runner. Garrett Stubbs gets his first at bat. Called Nick Tanielu for part of the spring. Said, you know what? Let's just go with Tanalou now. It's kind of gone back and forth on us the whole spring. Alex Bregman ends his day 1 for 2, and that RBI gives him 5 RBIs on the spring. So Bregman now tied for second behind Ted in spring training RBIs. Max Stassi also has 5 runs batted in. Ted, of course, we're talking about Kyle Tucker. Pitch away is 2-1. Stubbs took over as a pinch runner for Evan Gattis in the third, getting his first AB. Despaignet's allowed 3 hits in the inning and a couple of runs. Marlins have already used 4 pitchers. We're in the fourth. Little tapper in front of the plate. Despaigne makes a little wide throw. Good adjustment at first by Cooper. And there's 2 away. Bregman, excuse me, the pinch runner Tanalou moves to second. So all the starters batting for the 3rd time, leaving the game after their 3rd AB, although Gattis, DH, just was in there for a couple of plate appearances. McCann getting his 3rd chance at the plate. He's walked twice today. Marlins pitching has walked 5 Astros and hit a batter. Split squad tomorrow. Astros playing here at the ballpark of the Palm Beaches, 15 ballpark of the Palm Beaches against Washington. Technically, they're the visiting team. So they really have a split squad 2 road game day tomorrow. They take on Washington as the visitors, and they're in Port St. Lucie to take on the Mets for the other side of the split squad. Colin McHugh will pitch against the Mets. Charlie Morton will pitch against the Nationals. Colin and his wife looking forward to enjoying a breakfast in Port St. Lucie, so the veterans decided on their own who would pitch where. Charlie stays here in West Palm, and Colin goes up the road to Port St. Lucie. 3-0 to McCann, who would like to see some pitches to hit in this game.
Yeah, I think a lot of the reason he's still in this game is to get the ABs, and he hasn't seen anything to hit. 3-0, he's going to let it fly right here, though.
Anything near the plate, we might have a McCann ball call. There's one outside and at the knees. Not exactly where you zone up on a 3-0 pitch.
No, not exactly. Nope. You want to be selective.
That's hit hard to left field, but right there is the left fielder Sierra for the final out. But the Astros take the lead.
Spring training hero Super Jack unloads on a high fastball onto the berm in left field. It's his show.
Today at Whataburger, we're
lead over the Miami Marlins as we head to the 5th inning. Time now to join the manager of your Houston Astros, A.J. Hinch. A.J., we're doing the breakdown with Jack Mayfield. 0 for 11 in non-televised games, 5 for 6 with 2 home runs on AT&T Sportsnet. How come you didn't play more when we were on TV?
Well, prime time players usually step up in front of the big boys. Look, he's going to play a little bit more now. I'm not going to deny him a few more opportunities. It's a pretty fun story for him, and he keeps hitting homers. That's one way to get back in the lineup.
Dallas Keuchel throwing for the first time in spring training. Yep. What were you anticipating seeing, and then what did you feel about the performance?
You know, I expected him kind of what happened. You know, he was really amped up, excited to pitch. I think he's thrilled with how good he feels, and he was a little overly amped. Couldn't really find the strike zone at the rate that he normally does, but. Upper 80s to low 90s fastball. He leaned on a couple. That's a good sign for him first time out. He's not somebody who's been particularly strong at the beginning of camps in the last couple seasons. So I think he feels great. I think it stunk to have to go out and get him, but 45 pitches was enough to build up some endurance and get him to the next start.
Lance McCullers Jr. takes over in the 5th inning. So as you look ahead to future starts for Dallas, at what time do you try and line them up for when the gun sounds on opening day?
Yeah, no, I mean it's a good question, and he's going to start on Saturday, and guys are going to start to line up. Verlander's going to start on Friday night. We'll push him, give him an extra day to kind of line things up, and I wanted to have our guys all pitch before I even really address the opening day. We have a luxury of having 3 guys in the rotation that could pitch opening day, or that have pitched opening day. Lance McCullers here has the stuff to pitch opening day. I've set up my stuff about Charlie Morton or Colin McHugh or the way Brad Peacock pitched yesterday. So we have the luxury. I've got to put them in an order, and so they're already in the order. Verlander's going to go 1, Keuchel's going to go 2. So those guys have known it for a good solid 10 days. They're pretty good at keeping things under wraps for now, but it's as lined up as it's going to get.
I thought I saw that on Yuli's Instagram. So Keuchel, it is official.
I should have put it on Yuli's Instagram. I mean, he has definitely been the best at breaking news in the spring. So.
Yeah, he's going to be disappointed he wasn't able to make the announcement that Verlander's going to be your opening day starter.
I know it. I'll apologize to him in English and Spanish.
So there you go. Justin Verlander gets the ball opening day, Dallas, and game 2, and then we'll figure out the rest. But that was a decision I would think with Justin's pedigree.
Yeah, I mean it's tough to really come to a conclusion. I mean, there is no wrong answer. I feel like I have multiple guys, especially Dallas and Justin have done it. Cole's done it for Pittsburgh over the last couple seasons. So they only let us start once. I've told them, and these guys I think have joked a little bit that opening day is the day that they pitch. So for us, poor us that we have a couple different options. There are a lot of teams out there that would love to have that dilemma. Our guys are on board that they're gonna line up, do their best. JV's got a ton of time in the game, and certainly has come out pitching very well, throwing the ball very well. Dallas is obviously more than capable. He will let people know. I think he's 3-0 in my tenure here as an opening day starter. So I'll throw that out there before he does, and then we'll go from there. It's really not as big a deal, other than it's an honor for JV. Yeah,
that's pretty impressive. You do have some nice, luxurious items in front of you as far as roster is concerned. A lot of times we hear you talking throughout the season, and when you're trying to get these guys ready to go. I'm talking about Chris Davinsky's appearance today. You had a chance to bring him in the middle part of an inning and have him sit down and then go back out for another inning. Tell us a little bit about that up-down that you're kind of reference every once in a while throughout the course of the season. No, it's important. We want everybody to do a little bit of everything before they leave camp, and that's a perfect example for Devo. He's the guy that comes in, troubleshoots things, may stay out for an extra inning, and then go from there. You'll see Will Harris do that. You'll see Rondon do that eventually. You'll see Joe Smith even do it if it has a couple of righties to end an inning and then maybe a righty to start an inning. So you'll see it a little bit more as camp gets underway, but the calendar will trick you a little bit this spring, in that everybody says, hey, in April, well, that's when the season starts, but not so fast. This year we start in late March, so we've got to start this a little bit sooner. So maybe outing 3 or 4 for a reliever. You'll see some of the more game simulation.
What are you expecting today out of Lance? We saw him last outing not even go to the curveball.
Yeah, and he may flip a couple in there. It's tough for him coming out of the pen. We tried to give him the 5th inning no matter what, so that he would have a little bit of simulation as to getting ready. He started warming up, I think, in the third and fourth like he would normally for a start. He's pitching today out of the pen because we want to line things up for the next few starts and the way the games lay out. This will probably be his only time coming out of the pen in sort of a piggyback sort of situation with Dallas. So, I don't love the preparation for him today, having to wait around 5 innings before he pitches, but I'd expect him to go 3 innings and get his pitch count up to 45, 50 hopefully, and if he breaks a couple breaking balls off, then all the better.
You caught in the past, and you deal with the catchers a lot. Now you've got a pretty stellar rotation. Do you let your starting pitchers pick the catcher, or is that even a thing?
No, it's not really a thing. The goal is for them to be very comfortable with everyone. And a good example of this is Stassi's catching McCullers today. He's caught him a little bit in the minor leagues and the major leagues. McCann is kind of the guy that everybody loves to throw to. Gaddy hasn't had the exposure to all of these guys, but interesting thing happened the other day. JV was pitching, and I put Stassi back behind there. He'd never caught a pitch from Justin Verlander all last season, or even into this spring. And it's interesting to hear the pitcher feedback about the catchers once they get a chance to throw to him. Like, Stassi got a couple pitches off the plate. Hey, Stassi called a great game. Hey, it's a really good target for him. And all of a sudden, that comfort level really does get a little bit better by the time you get to the end of camp.
A couple of errors in this inning. One charge to Nick Tanalou at third base, and that one on Lance McCullers on a pickoff throw that ends up down the right field line. AJ, you guys played very clean the first few games of the spring. I think you'd probably like to see some of these errors go away in the last few games.
Yeah, it hasn't been pretty, and not to give us an excuse, but we do have a lot of guys that are a little bit out of position. Obviously, JD's over at first learning. Tyler White, doesn't play a ton of second base. Some of the young kids have come in and thrown the ball around the diamond a little bit. I want them to go. I don't like the extended innings. We had some plays not made for Dallas today. I don't want Lance to throw 25 pitches in his first inning, but we do. I don't really mind the fact that our guys are making plays and we're trying to extend their versatility. It's also a decent lesson. We can talk about it in the mornings, remind the guys it's not comfortable when you're out there throwing the ball around.
Do you do that every morning after these games? Do you get the tape and show the positives and some of the corrections they need?
Yeah, a little bit. We have a morning meeting every day, and I try to keep them fun and light. There's usually a little nugget in there about the previous game, because the other thing that you think about, like Jose's not here, Carlos isn't here, Bregman's now out of the game, Yuli's not here. Like, these guys don't know what's going on in these games unless they're watching, on TV. So I do I'll mention Super Jack's home run and the bullet that McCann almost got his first hit of the spring. We'll have some fun with the boys in the morning, but there's usually something to take away, especially for the young guys.
You guys will always be linked as the first world champions in Astros history. Good to see Cameron before the game.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, he's fun, and I warned him that McCullers was gonna come in, and it's not a comfortable at bat for him. But we'll, Cam, some of these guys that I have history with Cam back to the San Diego days, and the stolen base at second. Everybody around the country got a bunch of tacos, I heard. I think he got a new car out of it. So there's a lot that Cam brought to the table. But one of my favorite people in the game with what he does off the field, what he does on the field, just a pro's pro.
Has anybody really jumped out in camp and surprised you this spring that maybe you weren't looking for?
Yeah.
Other than Super Jack.
Yeah, Jack. Mayfield's had a nice little run here. I'm impressed with Stassi's catching. I think he's worked really, really hard in the minor leagues with Mark Bailey, our catching coordinator, and this spring he really takes seriously the catcher framing stuff and some of the advances he's made with his bat. He's hit a couple. I think he's hit at least 1 or 2 home runs this spring. So that's been pretty impressive. Kyle Tucker's pace of play is pretty good. Just his tone, he breathes the right pace. He's not overwhelmed when he's facing guys. I think that's been a nice welcome surprise. There's been some young kids, some young arms that, well, albeit a little further away, Cianel Perez and guys that we're probably not going to see this season, but we hope to see down the road. I've been pretty impressed by.
Explain pace of play when you're talking about a young player in big league camp.
But it's hard. This level can sort of lull you to sleep if you're around it all the time, like we are, like you guys are. A young kid it's tough up here. I heard Mayfield was talking about playing next to Jose Altuve, which is, for us, it's not that big a deal. We see Jose play every day, and he's lovable, and everybody likes to be around him. But that's a really big deal to be a double play tandem with him. Tucker comes in, and you got big personalities in Reddick and Springer and Marisnik, and for him to blend into that culture and then play the game at a pace in which, you know, he looks under control of his at bats. He doesn't look nervous. He's not breathing too hard. He's not overwhelmed. That's a good sign. It's only spring training. It'll get tougher for him when the third deck comes in and the bright lights when he makes his major league debut sometime. There's going to be some anxiety that comes with it, but I'm impressed that he's comfortable in his own shoes and his own skin when he gets around some of the big boys.
AJ, you never know when you're going to get the third out, so let me just say this. This is our 8th telecast this spring, and we really look forward to the half inning that you're on. We appreciate the access. We love that you broke a story for us today.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, I appreciate it. I enjoy you guys, and you know, we're going to still keep playing games even though you guys are taking a couple weeks off. So you might check in, you know, check Twitter, check some MLB.com stuff, I'm sure AT&T will flash
maybe in a couple
things.
weeks. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. We're going to keep playing. I mean, I'm sorry. It's going to be tough for us.
That's if I get reception on the course.
It's going to be tough for us, but we're going to keep playing. But I do enjoy the banter. I enjoy the conversations. And like I said, you guys, the three of you guys that are here, Juliet and Blummer and TK, you guys bring a lot of content. It's pretty awesome.
Thanks, buddy. It was our pleasure to have, and we really respect the fact you always take the time out to make time for us. When you look at Lance right now and his pitch count's up a little, does he have a little higher threshold than maybe the 45 mark today?
Yeah, he does. I mean, it's going to be per inning, and can we make a play behind him, please? But it's going to be nice to see him get up and get down 3 times. That's the expectation.
AJ, as always, thanks, buddy.
Yeah,
Take
appreciate
care.
you.
Guys take care. AJ Hinch, top half of the 5th, 3-2 Astros.
To Sam.
Net is presented by Rooms to Go, where you get 60 months interest-free financing during the anniversary sale. On we go to the bottom half of the 5th inning. Astros lead the Marlins 3-2. Both teams combining for 9 hits. The Astros have struggled a little bit with their fielding with 4 errors through 5 innings in the field, as Tyler White will lead things off. Tyler getting his 3rd plate appearance. Also J.D. Davis, Kyle Tucker due up in this inning. Thanks to A.J. Hinch for joining us not only today in the top half of the 5th inning, but all spring long, and breaking a little news for us today.
Yeah, he spoils us just by coming on, but then he had a little extra nugget for us, telling us that Justin Verlander is going to be that opening day starter for the Houston Astros, backed up by Dallas Keuchel. Not a bad 1-2 punch. I think that news got over to Texas Rangers camp yet?
It wasn't going to be fun either way.
Yep.
However you line them up. Justin Verlander started the postseason, Game 1 against the Red Sox. Pitched in Game 4 of the ALDS. Dallas got the start in Game 1 of the ALCS. And you had 3 guys in that rotation who all started on opening day last year, with Garrett Cole making the start for the Pirates. So Verlander will make a start in the 2018 opening day for the Astros against the Rangers on the 29th of March. Tyler White, who was hit by a pitch his last time up, has a count of 3-1. Dresemar Despaigne is still in there for the Marlins. 3-2. And beyond those two, we'll find out the order. Obviously, it'll be a combination with Lance McCullers Jr., Charlie Morton in the mix, Garrett Cole, the new guy. It's one of those rotations where there is very little separating 1 through 5. You've got talent across the board. Fly ball into center field, play made by Brinson for out number 1. And you've got talent of the guys who aren't in the rotation. Brad Peacock threw 2 perfect innings yesterday. He's on the outside looking in. Colin McHugh.
Well, I mean, those guys, if you threw any one of their names out and said they're going to be my opening day starter, you're not going to get much blowback from any of those guys going out there. So it is kind of nice that AJ has those options. But you're right, the 2 guys that are going in the bullpen, possibly if the season started today, aren't too shabby either.
Justin Verlander now making his 10th opening day start in the last 11 years. Dallas was the opening day starter. AJ mentioned 3-0, a sub-1 ERA in those opening days too. Lance, an all-star last year. Garrett Cole, opening day starter for the Pirates. And Charlie Morton, all he did was win Game 7s of the ALCS in the World Series last year. J.D. Davis with a base hit.
Smart move by J.D. swinging at the first pitch.
He wasn't going to take any chance.
Not going to put it in the hands of C.B. Buckner anymore.
No, that didn't work out well. But Blummer, I know you've seen some good rotations, but that one's right up there.
Yeah. How do you argue with any of that? It's amazing, as good as they were last year, that you can go out and actually enhance your rotation by the pickup of a Garrett Cole. So it's pretty impressive. They still have the ability to go out there and do that. And you talked about Dallas Keuchel being undefeated in opening day starts. Justin Verlander is undefeated as an Astro.
How about that?
It's pretty good too.
Won his first 9 appearances, 5-0 in September, and then 4-0 his first 4 appearances in the postseason. Well, it's fair to say. I mean, the Marlins are a completely different scenario, so I'll grant you that. They're basically starting over, but they have a couple of guys they know are going to be in the rotation. Jose Urania and Dan Straley. Other than that, it's wide open. A guy like Despaigne could end up in the rotation, but if you mix the rosters, I would say at least 3, if not 4, of the guys who aren't going to make the Astros rotation would be key members of the Marlins. I mean, Peacock would start, McHugh would start, Francis Martez would start.
Oh, man, yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable that these guys are extras in that 5-man rotation as Kyle Tucker continues his torrid spring. Going first to third is J.D. Davis. Astros will take note of that on the line drive single by Tucker, who's now 2 for 3 with a double his first time up.
It's a little bit better swing than that double we saw earlier in the game. Great job getting to contact, staying through it, lacing another base hit to right field. And AJ said that he's pretty comfortable in camp, and I'd be pretty comfortable too if I had that kind of talent level and swing that Kyle Tucker. You got to have, we see this a lot with Alex Bregman, and you hear me talk about it a lot with Alex Bregman. You have to have a little twinge of arrogance and that you belong here. Because if you come in here and you don't have a little bit of that twinge, you're going to get run over. But these guys are showing very good attitude on the baseball field and playing the game the right way. And I especially, you hinted at it, J.D. Davis going first to third on that bullet to right field. That's very good base running.
Well, Tucker's only hitting .381 this spring.
That's close to Ted numbers.
He's 8 for 21. The interesting decision to be made, Kyle Tucker, in case you haven't heard, he's not going to make the opening day roster. He's just not ready. He's too young. There's no reason for him to be up, especially with the current configuration. He's not going to get at bats, and he's 21 years old. So the decision is, do you start him at AA, where he had a great second half last year, or do you push him to the next level? He's been the youngest kid pretty much at every level he's been in his career.
And nothing has phased him, just like AJ was saying, even here in big league camp. He continues to go out there and be Kyle Tucker.
There are a lot of Hooks fans that are saying more seasoning at AA before you push him to Fresno.
Yeah.
we want to see this kid in our outfield on opening day. I think it's a legitimately tough call for the Astros. I mean, Tucker could probably still use a couple of at-bats at AA, but he's also shown he's accepting of any challenge thrown in front of him, and he probably could handle Fresno on opening day. if that is the decision. Jack Mayfield continues his perfect day. Double home run and now a walk. The bases are loaded.
It might actually be, what do the Astros want him to face? Double A is usually that prospect level where you send a lot of your organization's top prospects as far as pitching is concerned. So you're going to get great competition in that Double A, or do you send him to Triple A where you kind of got a little bit of a mix of both? Some guys that are big league possible rotation guys, or some young talent.
Bases loaded comebacker. Despaigne gets Tony Kemp to hit into an inning-ending double play as the Astros lead after 5 by the score of 3-2.
Red Sox, Rangers, and Indians. For more info, visit astros.com/tickets or call 1-877-9-ASTROS. AJ maybe helping those season ticket holders out when they buy them on which games they're going to go to.
Yeah. All right, so we don't know 3 through 5.
So you got to go to those and see.
But we know second home game is going to be Verlander.
Yep.
Third home game is going to be Keuchel. Second home game will be Verlander and ring ceremony. That's a big day. As Peter Mooney leads things off. Taking a couple pitches outside of the zone from Lance McCullers Jr. Mooney has a single and 2 at-bats, scored a run. Lance pitching for his second inning. He allowed a walk in the first inning, had to work around an error. A couple of errors in the inning. One he committed on a throw on a pickoff attempt.
Yeah, wow, nice toss, CB. He would have called it a strike. Sorry,
well
now I
played.
lost my train of thought. How about, it's one thing to make an opening day roster.
Right.
That's almost as exciting as being on a World Series team, but this is going to be an exceptionally awesome opening day roster to make because of that opening day in Minute Maid Park.
Right. Yeah.
The first 2 days are going to be incredible, but that opening day in Minute Maid Park is going to be absolutely incredible.
Yeah, whenever banners go up, it's a chill-inducing moment.
And to be standing on the field and watch the unveiling of it, that's going to be incredible.
That whole the whole year is going to be special, but that first homestand is going to be off the charts.
Yeah, and then you get to show up the next day and get some hardware.
Yeah. McCullers walks Mooney, the leadoff hitter. Now face Yadiel Rivera. Rivera is grounded out and walked. Kyle Tucker came out of the game, although he was not expecting to. At least
he was a little reluctant, wasn't he?
He didn't want to leave. Alejandro Garcia had to tell him he was out of the game, and Tucker was already trotting out to the outfield. So Kyle, who continues his toward spring, ends up going 2 for 3 with a double, a run scored. And Garcia takes over in right. The only starter still in the game for the Astros. Actually, 2 are still in there. Left fielder Derek Fisher and the shortstop Jack Mayfield. Everybody else who started is out of the game. Tony Kemp's now in center field. Saw him just make that play as Rivera with a clean single to center, putting runners on first and second with nobody out and back to the top of the order. And the Marlins are starting to bring their players out. J.B. Shuck will get an AB. Magner Sierra, the 21-year-old prospect out of the Cardinals organization. Gets a pinch hit appearance here. Sierra ended up reaching on a catcher's interference, singling and striking out. He went 1 for 2. So Dunnan has taken over at first base as a pinch runner. One and one the count. There is Joe Dunnan, nephew of Sunday Night Baseball analyst Alex Rodriguez. Uncle Alex. Dunnan went to NC State, 22-year-old. J.B. Shuck, we've seen him with the Angels before.
Did pretty well, too. Ex-Astro farmhand.
McCullers to second for 1. Mayfield's return safe at first base. Angel Hernandez, actually that is not Angel.
Looks like Paul Nauert.
Paul Nauert making the call at first. Looked like they had 2.
I thought they did too. Good job by Lance, making a good feed to Mayfield on the turn. JB can run a little bit.
Pretty good speed right there. So runners on the corners with 1 out. Now Chad Wallach will pinch hit for J.T. Realmuto. Pitch misses inside, 1-0.
Any relation to the bench coach here?
Yep.
Pretty tight.
Papa Tim Wallach. May recognize that name. Tim Wallach, longtime third baseman at the big league level. Now the bench coach for the Marlins. And Chad, his son, gets hit by a pitch on that 2-0 delivery. Now the bases are loaded.
We talked about conversations at third base, and Tim Wallach was one of the better conversations over at third base. He was a lot of fun to chat to when I was out there. He's the third base coach for the Los Angeles Dodgers for a while.
Mm-hmm. Chad at first base after being hit by a pitch. Here's Monte Harrison taking a call strike. Harrison pinch hitting for Lewis Brinson.
Just another Adonis on the baseball field. Supremely talented and gifted.
And this kid could pick his sport coming out of high school.
Reminds you of somebody you saw over in Tampa Bay and I played with when I was over there in 2004 also. One Carl Crawford.
Yeah, Carl Crawford still lives in the Houston area. Went to Jefferson Davis High School, and he could have picked his sport too. He could have been a point guard. He could have played football as a quarterback. He's just dominated as an option quarterback in high school, and this kid the same way. Monte Harrison, 3 sports star, basketball, football, and baseball. Chose baseball. 2-1 count. Lance trying to work through a bases loaded 1-out situation. You look at
it.
The talent they got back in the Christian Yelich deal.
They did a good job.
It was highly impressive. They got Lewis Brinson, we saw earlier today, who could be starting outfielder for the Marlins this year. This guy, Monte Harrison, who is a supremely gifted athlete. Hassan Diaz, we'll see a little bit later on, 21-year-old second baseman. And they also added a pitcher in that trade for Yelich. 2-2 pitch, there it is. Called third strike. Lance McCullers Jr. puts one over for out number 2.
Did you see what happened? All of a sudden, you get some base runners on. Guys start hitting the ball hard. And guess what he goes to? The curveball. There it is to get the punch out. Can't blame him.
Like, I know Grapefruit League numbers don't count, but rather keep that ERA where it is intact. Jonathan Rodriguez, check swing, foul ball.
Yeah, the stats may not go on the back of the baseball card, but they show up in your ego. And there's still a little bit of that being toted around, even though it is spring training.
Lance with 2 shutout innings in his opening start against the Twins. Didn't allow a hit, struck out 3. And a called strike. McCullers ahead 0-2. Rodriguez pinch hitting for Derek Dietrich. Called third strike. McCullers paints the outside corner with a 2-seamer that comes back and catches the corner. We are through 5.5. Astros lead 3-2.
Spring is coming. Enjoy the season with a great deal.
TNT Sportsnet on social media. From player and team stats to trivia and behind-the-scenes photos, find us on Facebook and Twitter for the latest on the Astros all season long. That's at ATT Sportsnet SW. TK?
Did you break the Verlander news on Twitter?
I did.
Yes.
Got a kid.
Out of the way, Julia.
Just blowing up.
How many likes have you got?
A lot. Astros fans like the news.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, AJ, he's always so good to us. To break that on our broadcast was pretty cool. Derek Fish and Julia's as fast as they come with Twitter. So as soon as he broke that news, boom, Julia on it.
Yep.
Derek Fisher, the batter. Derek's one of the few guys who's getting a 4th at bat. In fact, it'll be he and Jack Mayfield who could potentially stay in the game for another plate appearance, facing Dresemer Despaigne. 1-1 the count. Fisher looking for his first hit, a strikeout, a flyout, and a ground out. glove of the new catcher, Chad Wallach, who pinch hit, stayed in the game after being hit by a pitch. There's Chad. Some familiar names out in the field for the Marlins. Scott Van Slyke has taken over at first base. Three and one count to Fisher. So you've got the son of Tim Wallach catching. You've got the son of Andy Van Slyke at first base. And you've got the nephew of Alex Rodriguez at shortstop.
Some bloodlines.
How about it?
That means they should be swinging some pretty good wood when they go to the plate. Some residual batting.
Pretty good lineage for all those guys. Plummer, that last out of the inning with the pinch hitter up there, Rodriguez, Lance McCullers Jr. was nasty.
Yeah, that's something we could get used to. That's actually something we've seen quite a bit over the years with Lance McCullers. When he is on, the breaking ball is very good. Snaps one off right there for the foul tip. Comes back with another one, even better on that outside corner, and CB Buckner luckily caught that one. And this one right here is really impressive. You slow everything down with a couple of breaking balls and then speed them up with a well-painted fastball tailing back over that outside corner.
His fastball, that little two-seamer, this is misplayed in center field, and that'll drop for a hit. As Monte Harrison, we were raving about his athleticism, but he misplayed that fly ball as he got fooled on the swing, and then the wind blowing in didn't help him. Fortunate for Nick Tanalou, that'll go for a hit. But McCullers' 2 outings this spring, I don't remember as much arm side run on that little two-seamer. We've seen a lot of movement on that pitch this spring.
There's been a ton of movement.
Here's Garrett Stubbs. Here for Rodriguez, you saw 2 pitches that were dirty moving away from you, and then that other pitch you just give up on because you see it way outside, and next thing you know it's on the corner.
Yeah, you'd come running back into the dugout and Carlos Lee would look at you and go, didn't break, did it? Nope. He's not looking for that heater painted on the outside corner. Locked him up.
Here's Garrett Stubbs. A couple of runners on, nobody out. Hit hard, but right at the first baseman, Van Slyke. His throw is high, but nicely gloved, and a throw in the dirt picked by Despagne, but safe at first is Stubbs. Manan did a good job on the throw, making the catch, but then his return throw was a little bit low.
I think he got a little bit nervous when he recognized Despagne was going to be the guy covering over there.
Stubbs didn't have much of a bag to step on because
he might have saved Despagne's life right there.
So first AB for Max Stassi as Brian McCann lined out in his last plate appearance. A couple of walks for McCann. Spanier is approaching 50 pitches. We haven't seen too many pitchers throw more than 50 so far this spring. Garrett Cole threw 52 in his first start. Excuse me, in his second outing. We'll see where Lance ends up today. There is bullpen action going for the Astros right now. AJ said he'd like to see Lance end up with up downs for 3 innings, but we'll see after a little bit of an elevated pitch count after 2. Frombear Valdez warming up. Marlins back looking for 2 with first and third and 1 out. Stassi down on the count 1 and 2. Max has driven in 5 this year. He and Alex Bregman tied for second on the team. Only Kyle Tucker has more spring RBIs. Although closing quickly is Jack Mayfield with 2 RBIs today.
Super Jack.
Inside. Despagne wanted that call to strike. Instead it's 2 and 2. RBI double and a solo home run for Mayfield to go along with a walk. The other run coming across on an Alex Bregman RBI. Scored Jake Marisnick. Actually, it scored a pinch runner for Jake. Stassi goes down for the second out. Tony Kemp came around to score on a close play on a good throw by Lewis Brinson. Alex Delgado will hit for Tyler White here. Seen Delgado get into a few games this spring. 23-year-old. Spent most of his time at Bowie's Creek last year. The pitch on a double steal is thrown into center field. Stealing home is Derek Fisher. Going to third is Garrett Stubbs. I'm not sure if they're going to credit Fisher with a steal of home, but they should, because he was breaking before that ball went into the outfield.
Yeah, that was a more legitimate steal of home than what we saw with Super Jack and Jake Marisnick, because like you said, that was a great angle. Good job by the guys in the truck to get that high home shot to see Derek break as soon as the catcher threw.
They are going to give Derek Fisher a stolen base of home. So a double steal. Astros lead 4-2. Degatti into right center field. And that is played for the final out of the inning. Catch is made by Isaac Galloway, the new right fielder, as we head to the 7th in a 4-2 game. TNT Sportsnet is presented by Whataburger. Don't miss the new Mushroom Swiss Burger at Whataburger, available for a limited time. And by Toyota. Let's go places. 7th inning baseball from the 15 ballpark of the Palm Beaches. Another beautiful day in West Palm Beach. Astros leading the Marlins 4-2. Scott Van Slyke, who took over defensively last inning, will lead things off for Miami. And he takes a called strike. Van Slyke playing with the Dodgers for the last 6 seasons. Now trying to make the opening day roster for the Miami Marlins. Slyke played corner outfield primarily, first base with LA. Takes a pitch away. It's 2-1. Lance starts the inning with 43 pitches. He's up to 46 now. We saw bullpen action up last inning. Framber Valdez warming up. So we'll see if Lance gets a couple of batters here. Sure, AJ Hinch and Brent Strom don't want to see him get too far into the mid-50s or upper 50s. Right now he's at 47. Into right field. Shading his eyes, Alejandro Garcia had to really battle the sun and hung in there for out number 1. will face another right-hand hitter. Here's Isaac Galloway. Could be the last batter he faces. AJ is poised at the top step of the dugout as Lance makes his 50th pitch. It's 1-1. So far, Lance in 2 1/3 innings has allowed 1 hit. He has walked a couple of batters. He hit a batter. Has not allowed a run. There's a strike call, and it's 1-2. Keuchel went an inning and 2/3. Devo went an inning and a third. Will Harris an inning, and now Lance McCullers Jr. the last 2 1/3, trying to get the second out of the 7th. Ground ball towards short. Jack Mayfield is there, makes the play, and as the runner was being thrown out, going down the line, AJ Hinch was out of the dugout. As Lance McCullers throws 53 pitches today and goes 2 2/3 innings. 2 outs, nobody on. 7th inning, we'll have a pitching change. Framber Valdez will be the new pitcher after this.
This is not just a 29.
It is never too late to join the team. 2018 Astros Buddies memberships are now available for kids 12 and under. Buddies receive 4 tickets to an Astros regular season game, a backpack, cap, socks, and exclusive benefits throughout the year for only $25. Visit astros.com/buddies today to sign up. New pitcher for the Astros, taking over for Lance McCullers in the 7th inning with 2 outs, is the lefty Framber Valdez.
This will be his 3rd outing for the Houston Astros. He has a hold under his belt. Got that against Atlanta. Went 2 innings, gave up 2 hits, no earned runs. Both of his outings, he's yet to give up a run.
Valdez facing the switch-hitting Christian Adames. And he chops one against the shift to the right side, but covering a lot of ground to make the play for the final out of the inning. We'll send it now in the middle of the 7th inning to Kevin Eschenfelder and Mike Stanton in our Rooms to Go lounge as we head to the bottom half of the 7th.
All right, TK, he's Mike Stanton. I'm Kevin Eschenfelder. We welcome you into the Rooms to Go lounge. Dallas Keuchel gets a start. I was really interested in hearing AJ Hinch talk about him being so amped up for his first start of the spring.
Well, what's he been doing, for the first couple weeks here? He's been doing nothing but watching baseball. Yeah, he's been getting his work in on the backfields and stuff like that. But even for a guy that pitched in the World Series and done everything in his career, you can see these guys are still excited to get on the field.
We'll also talk about Lance McCullers Day, all that coming up on the postgame show. We'll see you then.
Deep in the heart of Texas, plays down here in West Palm Beach as well at the 15 ballpark of the Palm Beaches. 4-2 Astros. Not the cleanest of games with those 4 errors, but they all came early. 8 hits for the Astros and 4 runs. New pitcher is a guy that spent his entire career in the Astros organization and then was selected by the Marlins in the Rule 5 draft. Eliezer Hernandez.
Yeah, he's vying to make this Miami Marlins team. Pitched in high A last season for the Astros. Had 11 starts, 15 appearances, was 4-5 with 10.52 strikeouts per 9 innings.
Trying to make a spot on this team. Rule 5 pick. You have to stay on the team the entire season at the major league level. Ball slicing away from the left fielder J.B. Shutt. A.J. Reed with a foul ball. Final line on Lance McCullers, 2 2/3 innings, 1 hit, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. Does not allow a run. Lance is now 4 2/3 innings into his spring without a run. A.J. Reed, his first plate appearance. Facing Hernandez, who is just 22 years of age, out of Venezuela. He'll face some of his former teammates. Got up to Bowie's Creek last year at the Class A level. That last play was made nicely at the end of the top of the 7th inning by Alex Degatti on the shortstop side of the bag, and the shift came all the way around to make that play for the final out. Up and in to A.J. Reed. It's 1-2. Hernandez, 6 foot 210. 2-2. Actually, the only guy he can still, well, face Alex Degatti possibly. He could see Randy Cesar. Kyle Tucker's already out of the game. He was a teammate of his at Bowie's Creek. And then Miles Straw. Adressimer Despaigne pitched 3 innings for the Marlins. Despaigne allowing 3 runs, the last coming on a steal of home by Derek Fisher. Seen that a couple of times this spring. That one was, as you said, a little more intentional. The other one was kind of Jake being aggressive. A.J. Reed gets into one, deep to right. That's a line drive home run off the bat of A.J. Reed. That left the park in a hurry.
Yeah, 89 on the inner third isn't going to beat too many big league hitters, and A.J. Reed turned it around quickly. Set up inside, up and in, and A.J. Reed gets to it nicely. It's got to feel good for A.J. Reed knowing he's got an opportunity to break camp with this team.
First home run for A.J., just his second hit this spring, and that one jumped off his bat. Alejandro Garcia, the hitter, with a 1-1 count. Astros lead 5-2 as Garcia takes a pitch for a ball. It's 2-1. Eliezer Hernandez made every stop along the way in the Astros organization up until high Class A. It's a big jump to go from high Class A all the way to the big leagues, and that's what he's attempting to do as a Rule 5 pick this year. Two years with the Dominican Summer League team. As a 19-year-old in 2014, he was with Greenville, then the Gulf Coast League Astros. 2015, Quad Cities and Tri-City. Moved up to Lancaster in 2016, and then last year, Bowie's Creek. Gets a ground ball at the bat of Alejandro Garcia for the first out of the inning. San Diaz makes the play. Here is Randy Caesar. So a couple of teammates last year. Played together with the Bowie's Creek Astros in the Carolina League, facing off. It's 0-1. Caesar pinch hitting for Jack Mayfield. So Mayfield in 2 television games this year is 5 for 6 with 2 home runs, a double, and a walk. Up and in to those former teammates. 2-1. That could hurt our opportunity to hear from Jack Mayfield if he's out of the game in the 7th inning.
Yeah, that gives him ample opportunity to big league us.
He could definitely Heisman Julia, like he said he might, now that he's done so well.
I'm good.
Thanks.
Yep, moving on.
Not talking today.
Talk to my agent.
Caesar takes a called strike, 3-2. Eliezer Hernandez. Comes back and gets Caesar after falling behind him, 3-1. First strikeout for Hernandez, 2 outs in the inning. Well, results aren't always the most important focus of spring training, but it's always better to win than to lose. If the Astros win this game, move to 8-3-1 on the spring. It's been a pretty good start coming off a championship season.
Yes, it has. Really haven't missed much of a beat. All the guys you expect to go out there and get hits and keep swinging the bat, they do. Talked about Lance hasn't given up a run. Not too many of those guys in the rotation for the Astros have given up a run.
Couple of highlight reel plays this spring from Tony Kemp in left field as he bats here with a 2-1 count. Kemp with back-to-back games with RBI base hits, but his last at bat he batted with the bases loaded and grounded into an inning-ending double play. Split squad tomorrow. A.J. Hinch will go to Port St. Lucie and manage that game against the Mets. Joe Espada, the bench coach, will stay here. Match up with the Washington Nationals. Fly ball lofted into left field. J.B. Shuck over there puts it away for the final out of the 7th inning.
A.J. Reed got himself a fastball he could handle on the inner third, turned on it. Low line drive over that right field wall. Another run for the Astros, putting them ahead 5-2.
This is not just a $29.99 Rawlings leather.
The one guy can't do it every night. You know, like you go 3 nights in a row and you just can't go the fourth. So 3 guys really helps out.
Today's What a Play is presented by Whataburger. Smitty Dave Smith talking about needing some backups in the bullpen, and the combination of Smith and Sambito. Quite a combo for the Astros back in the day, and this year's squad as Framber Valdez delivers to Isan Diaz. There are a lot of good options to be the guys that set up the closer, Ken Giles, in 2018.
Yeah, you've got some guys with experience, and you know, you're not trying to name closers or bump guys out of position. You're just trying to say that if you have a guy that has to save 3 games in a row and he throws an excessive amount of pitches, it's tough to ask him to go out there 4 and 5 days in a row. So why not develop a bullpen that has guys that have big league experience in the back end of games, closing them, if not setting them up. So it's nice to have multiple guys that have the mentality and have been through some of the pressures of pitching late in ball games.
AJ had the luxury last year of not really having to push his bullpen, not having to use guys 3 days in a row or 4 out of 5.
And AJ's one of the better guys about doing that too. Him and Brent Strom really lay down a map that tells you that you're not going to go for that 4th, 5th day straight, because that's just too much stress to be putting on a big league arm.
Valdez ahead of the count, 0-2 on Isan Diaz. Round a bunt on an 0-2 pitch. Takes it for a ball. Diaz first at bat took over for Peter Mooney, who reached base a couple of times.
I'm not sure you go to the table and say, hey, I can make the team because I can bunt 0-2.
Looping breaking ball misses. We might have had the wrong count.
2-0. Yeah, why are you squaring around 2-0? Was it? The scoreboard here is completely different from what we see.
Line drive to left field. That'll be a base hit. Isan Diaz, a leadoff base runner on a single to left.
That's a much better way to impress your manager. Get that knock. Here's that bullpen we've been talking about. Will Harris, Chris Davinsky, Brad Peacock, Joe Smith, and Hector Rondon are the 2 additions. And you see Hector Rondon, 77 saves in the couple years he was with the Chicago Cubs. Joe Smith actually has 30 career saves under his belt. And then obviously we know about Brad Peacock, Chris Davinsky, and Will Harris and their ability to pitch late in games, but some pretty viable options for AJ to go to if he needs to give a back into the bullpen type guy a day off.
And the long guy out of the bullpen, last year we saw Joe Musgrove fill that role quite often. This year, at least as it stands now, Colin McHugh looks to be that long guy at the bullpen. Of course, Ken Giles will get the 9th inning, and then the 8th spot in that pen Astros anticipate keeping a three-man bench again. Here's a line drive into right field. Garcia tried to make a sliding catch, but it bounced in front of him, and the Marlins have runners on first and third. The eighth man out of that pen looks to be Tony Sipp, as he has pitched extremely well this spring.
Yeah, if you can get the consistent left-handed pitcher in Tony Sipp, that will definitely solidify the bullpen. Good try out and right by Garcia, just short hopped it. Good thing he kept it in front.
Runners on the corners in this 5-2 game. The tying run to the plate in J.B. Shuck. Bear misses 1-0. On the ground, could be two. Degatti to short. The return in time for the double play. Degatti actually on the back end of that double play. Tanalou was at third, moved to second. Degatti was at second, moved to short. So it's Tanalou to Degatti. Either way, it was nicely turned.
Run does score on that ground ball.
Well, 5-3 game now. Chad Wallach batting for the second time. Hit by a pitch in the sixth inning. Kind of winding down our portion of the telecast. Still 2 more broadcasts to go in a couple of weeks. But 8 of the first 11 days we brought you spring training action here on AT&T Sportsnet. So over the course of these last couple of half innings, we'll kind of give you our impressions. And I know with 2 outs, it's always dangerous to start a conversation. So we'll see what happens with Wallach here with a 1-2 count, but we'll bring in Julia Morales as well. Astros kicking off the spring at a very early date this year. Swing and a miss, strike 3. So we'll talk about the 2018 spring with Blummer and Julia when we come back for the bottom half of the 8th in a 5-3 game. Trying to win their 8th game of the spring. Former minor leaguer Eliezer Hernandez still in there for the Miami Marlins. Astros will have Drew Ferguson leading off. Todd Callis, Jeff Blum, Julia Morales. We'll start with Julia as we wrap up our first 8 of our 10 telecasts here with the 3 of us all together. Julia, you were down in the clubhouse as much as anybody this spring, coming off a world championship. What's the attitude been like?
It's been great. You know, from the first day we got here, guys had actually showed up way before that. There was a lot of guys that got here early to do some early work, just itching to get back to work, really, and to start 2018. So a good attitude from the beginning. The vibe's always been loose with this group, but they've been that way. Even going back to the last few years, that's just been a really good group to be around. And then, of course, with the new faces coming in, they were looking forward to getting those guys in there. Everyone very excited about the additions. So, yeah, ready to get back to work. And, of course, the message we heard AJ saying, turn the page. Everyone's behind that. They all want to turn the page, but they do want to remember what it took to get there last year. So for those who had that experience, hang on to that. But at the same time, this is a new season with new challenges. We don't know how many guys it's going to take to get there again. So they're ready to go to work.
A loose group that likes to have fun. We saw that last year. It's easy to have fun when you're winning, obviously, but it seems like even before that, this was a group that was pretty tight-knit. Some laughter in the clubhouse this spring, I would think.
Always. As long as George Springer's in there. No, it's just a good variety of personalities. They get along really well. You know, with the addition of Josh Reddick last year, we wondered how he would fit in, and they just loved him from day one. It was a good match for a lot of these guys, and so the new guys coming in, it's one of the first things they noticed. Garrett Cole noticing that right off the bat, just about a week in, saying this is one of the best clubhouses you could be in right now. So watch out, I got to make a play.
Did you make that?
No.
Bailed.
Right. It's one of the first lessons I got as a sideline reporter was don't try to catch anything.
Especially when you have Gary Pettis over there.
Right. That's why we have him.
Hey, by the way, good choice of colors. Blummer and I always coordinate, but you kind of went on your own and went with us today. That ball's hit deep to left field out the bat of Drew Ferguson, but it's not quite going to carry out for out number one. But yeah.
You know what that means?
What's that?
Is that we have come a long way this spring.
Can we finally qualify as a decent team?
Is the chemistry good now?
Right,
can
we
break
worked
camp
hard
now?
on it. Yes, and I think
we did it.
Yeah, we really did. We spent a lot of
just
time together. We had some good team bonding activities to the point where we were dressing alike by the end. So we're in a really good place. If we can just hang on to that for a couple of weeks, we'll be off and running for 2018.
Well,
now, we just need a high five now. That's all.
Thank goodness she matched us, because if we had to go the other way and match some of our
that
style,
that wouldn't be good.
we'd have trouble with that.
Yeah.
No, it was a good spring, Julia. Thanks for kind of putting us to the task on our first broadcast and saying we had a lot that we had to work on, stay focused, never settle.
We are never settling.
She is our George Springer.
Well, hey, and great job Saturday, getting a chance to switch roles a little bit.
Yeah.
Julia got to do some play-by-play.
Very exciting.
Thank you. There were a lot of players and coaches watching.
Yeah?
Yeah, I got some compliments from the guys, which means a lot. They could easily just give me a hard time.
You know what? You did a great job, and you deserve to have them say those things to you. But and as a team, as a total, I have heard from a lot of ex-player, ex-teammates, and guys like that within the baseball community, who like watching our shows. So just a little added extra bonus for both of you is that we get turned on a lot in those big league clubhouses.
Well, I know it's a tough compliment coming from any of the guys in any clubhouse. So for those guys who normally like to give Julia a hard time, to give her some pump, some props. Yeah, that's good stuff. Good job, guys. And well deserved. 2-1 the count to Garrett Stubbs. Stubbs is a guy that AJ mentioned. Has been impressive, doing some little things there behind the plate this spring. We saw a lot of him in college.
Yeah, I got to cover him, covering the Pac-12 networks and working with them. But yeah, unique talent. He's not, when you say catcher and you put a picture of, or you stand next to him and you say he's a catcher, he's not going to be that prototypical guy that you would imagine being a big league catcher. But he does a very good job back there and probably has something to say to CB about that call.
Garrett not happy with that call. We're through 8. We'll get Plummer's thoughts on the spring in the 9th inning in a 5-3 game.
To Sam, life's an adventure. And with the
Yoda, Carlos Beltran, and the value of leadership. He was brought over to help in that clubhouse, in that dugout, and on the field. And here's the picture of joy after that last out of the World Series. And there's the joy coming out through the eyeballs of Carlos Beltran, who's built a Hall of Fame career and now solidified it, hopefully with that World Championship on the resume. He was a key asset that the Astros wanted to go out and acquire in the offseason. They did, and he proved his worth on and off the field. Great human, great guy to have in the clubhouse, and a world champion and potentially a Hall of Famer.
What a way to go out.
Yes.
To go out on top. Beltran was so impactful in that clubhouse. You think about after getting swept by the Yankees in New York and going down 3-2 in the ALCS, and Beltran getting the guys together and saying, hey, let's not forget, we won 101 games. We're really good, and we're going back home.
And we play well at home.
We're going back home, and the Astros would end up winning 8 games in 9 postseason contests in the postseason at Minute Maid Park. He said, just hang in there. You believe in yourself. You've done it all year long.
And what's kind of cool, and maybe wasn't talked about very much in the Astros winning that World Series championship, is that Carlos Beltran in 2004 single-handedly tried to get the Astros into the World Series with his postseason numbers that he was putting up. He left via free agency, came back, and completed the task that he started in 2004. So that was kind of cool for me to see too.
Beltran's so well respected around the league, and his impact on the Astros clubhouse, and prior to that, the Royals, Yankees, various clubhouses. He was interviewed for the Yankees job this year.
Right out of the chute.
Right out of the gate, right after retirement. Jonathan Rodriguez, the batter. Framber Valdez trying to close out this game for the Astros. Blummer, our last broadcast for the next 3.5 weeks. We'll be back in the booth on the 29th when they do it all for real against the Texas Rangers. Overall, we've seen a pretty solid opening to the spring training from the 2017 champions.
Yeah, it was good to see. It's good to see them understand who they are, but it's also even better to see them understand exactly who they are. They're very good baseball players, and they're a very good team that Jeff Luna was assembled, and it's good to see them coming out here and talking about trying to go out and win another one. They understand how hard it is, but they also understand that's what they worked that short offseason to accomplish here. And early in spring, you'd have to say they've got a pretty good shot of going out there and doing what they did last year.
And you never want to have a spring where you find an injury or two, but if you're going to have an injury like the Astros did, might as well get at the very beginning of spring training, like with Yuli Gurriel and the hamate bone.
Yeah, there's no such thing as a routine injury, but this is one that he will bounce back from and be just fine. It's just a matter of time and healing and getting him ready to come back in. But yeah, I agree with you in the sense it's early enough to give guys a chance to make the team, and it's early enough that he can heal up from it and get back relatively quickly.
It's been 17 years since the New York Yankees won 3 in a row that any team has gone back-to-back. But this team looks like they have the right attitude to go along with unbelievable talent to be able to win back-to-back world champions.
And what I remember about those Yankees teams was a strong core. You had the Bernie Williams, you had Derek Jeter, you had Mariano Rivera and some of these guys. So they developed some of that talent internally, much like the Astros have done, and they're young. They've won that championship early in their careers, so they have something to shoot for, and they have plenty of time to have these guys together.
A 1, 2, 3 innings to close out the 9th. Plummer, was a lot of fun this spring. We'll do it all for real on the 29th.
I cannot wait to do it for real, and it's good to be back in the booth.
We'll have more from West Palm Beach, Florida, as the Astros win 5-3. Framber Valdez picks up the save, and the Astros will improve to 8-3-1 on the spring.